Okay, this is my retake or part two of the David Haye illusion. I did this video the last time, and apologies for some bizarre reason the audio cut out. I was actually using a new microphone at the time. I'm not prepared to take those chances again, so I'm doing this video again, and apologies for those people who started listening to it, starting to get into the flow. This is my retake for part two. Okay, so we know we're live. Just double checking there. Great. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you from around the world. My name is Ingram Jones, and tonight I'm going to just do my retake on the David Haye illusion. I want to make a disclaimer before I start this, though, that two things. First of all, that unlike normally the live shows that I do, where I'm pretty receptive to people talking to me through the chat, I'm going to say what I've got to say first, and then once I finish talking, I can receive what people's thoughts are afterwards. Okay. This is my retake for. So I see more people coming into the room. So I've got a little bit of an audience tonight, which is good. Speed Jab, Kyle D, Zest CFC. So the second disclaimer is that this is not a hate video. If you're looking to tune in to see a face of somebody hating on another boxer, you're not going to get that. Of course, there probably are lots of reasons for me to be hating in this video, but I won't be. I'm just going to paint the picture or the story the way I've seen it, and then maybe at some point, I'm sure afterwards, people will fill in the details. David Haye, the topic. Let's get straight into it. David Haye in 2016. What do I see? I see a man with very, very strange hairstyle. A man who looks tired. A man that saying all the right things, but not actually delivering on anything he's saying. In 2016, David Haye has fought two opponents. One guy called Mark Demore, and the other guy was, I can't remember the guy, I can't even pronounce the guy's name again, the Cobra. Now, I thought, and I was under the impression that David Haye, been out the ring for so long, would have kind of learned from his mistakes. The whole injury thing with the Tyson Fury saga, the Toegate, and all the rest of the pullouts and excuses. I thought now in 2016 on the comeback trail, they would have learned key points and key lessons, and not to take the public as mugs. Apparently, David didn't get that memo, and here is where I think there's an illusion. Let's get something categorically clear. David Haye is an exciting fighter. David Haye is a big puncher, a bigger puncher at cruiserweight than he was at heavyweight. But let's not forget the images of him rocking the 7-foot Valuev. Nobody in the heavyweight division did that. David threw a left hook in the 12th round, and that had Valuev shaking and rocking all over the place. And that's a beautiful image. If you talk about David and Goliath, and David landed that left hook, and that left hook, you look at that, you think, wow, if he can do that to somebody 7 foot, well, God, he could do it against anybody. And of course, a lot of people will feel with confidence with that going into the Klitschko fight. We all know what happened in the Klitschko fight. I'm going to be hopping back and forth between this illusion. David Haye Mark II. Let's go to this point. Is he better Mark II? There is a belief among many Haye viewers, myself included, and I don't exclude myself from that. We forget David Haye's last big fight was in 2012. Yes, 2012 against Derek Chisora at West Ham. Let me remind you, Also, that was the time of the 2012 Olympics. There has been another Olympics since. David Haye has not fought a quality opponent since 2012. Okay, just want you all to note that. The comeback was against Demori. Now, some of you've heard some of this before on the tape, so the video I did before, so bear with me. Mark Demori, the YouTube fighter, when David looked down the camera and he said to you, he's never been dominated, as David does, and he like opens his eyes as if to convince you that if I open my eyes and I speak in this way of this authoritative way, you're going to believe my BS. He's never been knocked out. Oh, he's never been dominated. He does that. And you're like, yes, David, of course. But then you go back and you look at the record, you look at the box rec, and you see Mark Demori KO'd one round by a guy called Digger. Digger in the backwaters of somewhere in Australia or New Zealand. Okay? The backwaters. Nobody even saw this fight, or it was off YouTube. So he already got dominated and got stopped in a round. So we get this whole big thing, this whole big charade, him looking across the table at Mark Demori. Mark Demori's, you know, fair play to Demori. He's giving the best that he can in terms of talk. We all knew, first round, David lands a right hand, Demori's in the corner. Oh, David's back. What does it prove? David can punch. And David's got charisma. Okay, fair enough. We'll give him that. We'll give him a gimme fight. So we'll say, all right, Dave, your first fight's back. It's on Dave TV. There was talk even possibly of David fighting via YouTube. Great. Live. But no, Dave TV. Okay, Dave. We understand, David, we understand the whole situation with, you know, the TV organizations and the whole thing of you letting Sky down and the whole Fury saga. And okay, so you're not reliable. You're trying to build confidence in broadcasts. Okay, so you're on Dave TV, the joke channel, the comedy channel. Ironically, has David's second joke fight against the Cobra. When I spoke to James Ali Bashir about this, he said to me, the trainer of Alexander Usyk and the assistant trainer to Vladimir Klitschko, for those who don't know, he said to me, what is this, rent a KO? Rent a win? Where do you pick this guy at the Yellow Pages? This guy that David fought or was lining up to fight, he told the fans, he looked at the camera and said, oh, this guy, you know, he's going to prepare me to fight tall heavyweights. Yeah, he's definitely going to help me to prepare to fight for tall heavyweights. I'm like, well, David, have you got some amnesia or something? You fought Klitschko, over 6'5". You fought Fraudley Harrison. You fought Valiev, who was 7 foot tall. I mean, those are 3 tall heavyweights as it is. So, what is this guy, the Cobra, going to teach you? Not only that, the way David sold it, was that this guy had an unbeaten record and he was such a good fighter. But we knew, looking back behind the curtains, that this guy was got beat up, went down to, I think, spar with Tyson Fury, and got smashed up in a round. Not only that, Dillian White even comes out and tells us about how terrible this guy is. So what do people tune in to watch? A jab and seeing this guy fall on the floor. And then Paul Dempsey kind of puts the microphone up in David and's like asking him questions, you know? For the casuals, understand this, for the casual fans, casuals meaning those guys who finish work on a Friday night, or you know, and they want to go down to a pub and then they want to go and catch some boxing, that's great. Or Saturday night. Those people who don't understand the ins and outs of boxing, great. David's appealing to them. The casual fans who will just follow the highly publicized fighters, all right? The big names, but don't understand anything else. I'm not knocking the casuals. They're a market, and they're a market that the likes of Eddie Hearn and David Smart, businessmen, have thought, you know what? Hold on a second. I can't sell certain fights to the knowledgeable boxing fans, because the knowledgeable boxing fans out there will say, hey, this guy's not up to standard. That guy's not up to standard. This guy isn't up to standard. But the casuals say, oh, David Haye, he's a big puncher. Oh, I love to see David bang someone out. Tickets there, bang. So if you've got 20,000 or 15,000 or 10,000 people tuning in, and the majority of those people that are tuning in are casuals, why are you complaining? That's money. That's money. So it's money to pay your bills. It's money. I'm not knocking David in terms of making his money. What I'm knocking, or what I have a problem with, is the illusion. And I'll continue the illusion. Again, David has not fought a credible opponent since 2012, Derek Chisora. Okay? Derek Chisora at that time had not been knocked out. Derek Chisora at that point had just come off a loss to Vitaly Klitschko. And arguably Vitaly Klitschko was one of the greatest heavyweights. And I would push my neck out to say a greater heavyweight than Vladimir Klitschko. I think Vitaly Klitschko's resume or his greatness is questionable when you look at some of the stuff we've uncovered recently about the Klitschkos. That's not what I'm going to talk about tonight. What I am going to talk about is that Lennox Lewis fight very quickly and say Lennox was out of shape, unmotivated, and was due to fight Kurt Johnson and said, you know what, I'll have a Klitschko instead. Lennox was in no sort of shape. And the fact that Lennox did what he did to Vitaly Klitschko during that period of time, as far as I'm concerned, Lennox beat him. Wasn't his best performance, but Lennox had done what he had to do. He beat Tyson. So back to my point. So back to David Haye. So we've had two guys that basically David wouldn't even brought in for sparring. He wouldn't have brought these guys in for sparring. For sparring. You look at the quality guys David was using for sparring coming up to for the Fury fight. Think about it. He had Richard Towers, which was better than both of those two guys he'd fought in his comeback. He had Marius Vac. He had Deontay Wilder. Who else did he have? He had someone else as well. I can't remember who the last guy was in there. But he had 3 or 4 quality heavyweights in there. Quality. I mean, guys who were in the top 10, not the top 100. So his sparring partners are better quality than the 2 guys we've had back in the ring. The first fight, a gimme, fair enough. The second fight, no excuses. So, if you go back to 2012 and be honest with yourself, be honest, be absolutely honest, that was a great fight between Chisora and Haye. Okay, some people will say about the bell and when it rung. I'm not going to get into too much of that. But the one thing nobody can tell me is that David Haye wasn't puffing in that fight. He was huffing and puffing and blowing hard out of his arse in that fight, right? That's 2012 in a tough fight. Now, David Haye's 35. That fight was in 2012. He was blowing out of his arse then because he's being backed up by a heavyweight and putting him under pressure. Imagine this now in 2016. A guy has put on more weight. He's now training with Shane McGuigan. Now, it remains to be seen whether Shane McGuigan has given David Haye any additional skills, because David Haye's style, taking you back to the 2012, 2011, when he was reigning champion, WBA heavyweight champion, David's style has always been a sharp shooter, a sniper. Get in, do your business, get out. Do you mean pick you off from long range, big right hands, get out of the way? David never set you up with a left jab. David was never those guys that throw the left jab. You never hear commentary would say David Haye's behind the left jab. No, you'd hear David Haye with big right hands and a lot of good head movement, shifting the head, low left hand slung low, right in front of the big right hand at the top. That's David Haye. Good footwork, good upper body movement, good reflexes. That's David Haye. Now, with a style like that, you need reflexes, you need speed, timing, coordination. Those things are all well and good when you're in your late 20s and possibly early 30s. This is the wrong side of 35 now of David Haye. Can he still do that at 35 years old? We've seen now he's rejigged his style. We don't even know if that style even works against world-class heavyweights. So we don't know yet, because if he's flat-footed now, if he's flat-footed and standing in front of guys now with a chin which is still questionable, seen him knocked down by Mock and knocked down by what's the guy's name, the cruiserweight champion? Whatever. I can see his name now, ballhead. Morbeck getting knocked down by Morbeck. At heavyweight, getting knocked down by I can see. Oh God, the guy's name again. Anyway, got knocked down at heavyweight by the guy at heavyweight, Monty Barrett. Right, getting knocked down by Monty Barrett at heavyweight. The chin, we don't know. Okay, Klitschko didn't catch him clean. But let's be honest, when Klitschko was fighting David, he was scared of hitting David himself. Klitschko was throwing punches and pulling his head back. So anytime that fight was all about Klitschko throwing the jab, throwing the right hand and pulling himself, as he's throwing the right and pulling his head back, he didn't want to get clipped by David. And Manny Stewart shut that style down so quickly. Now I'm going back to what I said last time. Manny Stewart shut David's style down so quickly. Manny Stewart said, listen, all we need to do with David is put a left jab on him. You put the left jab on him because his legs are so wide apart, he has to bring his legs back together before he makes any movement. So all Klitschko had to do is get on the jab and pop the jab, keep the jab in his face. And David couldn't find a way around the left jab. He couldn't. So Klitschko was popping the jab, and the only time David had a chance was to hope that when Klitschko threw his jab through short, and David would try and pop a right hand over the top. That was David's only hope of beating Vladimir Klitschko, a big booming right hand over the top. Because David, as we know, cannot fight on the inside. He cannot. He's unlike a Holyfield who could, slip past, use the head movement, slip inside, let his shots go, and get out. David can't do that. Well, he couldn't do that back then. With all the fancy footwork and all the head movement, he couldn't. He was unable to do that. That's not me slagging David off. That is what it is. He was limited to that point. His style is effective, but against the bigger heavyweights, that was a problem. Okay? Against a technically profound heavyweight. I'm not talking Audley Harrison here, who just stood there and let David hit him. I'm not talking about that there. I'm talking about Vladimir, who was able to control distance and space and time, hold him out of a jab, pin him with a big right hand, and then to use his feet. That's different. And against a heavyweight like that, there are problems. Adam Booth afterwards on Sky admitted David just couldn't get past the jab. Said that on Sky. He could not get past the jab. David talked about his toe to deflect about the fact to basically, in my opinion, deflect the fact he couldn't get past the left jab. All his experience, all his amateur pedigree, he could not get past the left jab. That's 2000 what? 11, 12? Right? So he couldn't get past the left jab then. Okay, so we move on. Has Shane McGuigan made David Haye a better fighter? Who's David Haye been sparring with since the comeback? Has he needed any decent sparring? I mean, who would you be sparring with? Would you really need sparring for the Demori fight? Would you really need sparring for the Cobra fight? I'm just asking questions here. And the thing is, with all the well in the world and all the wanting in the world, what is the basis for us as boxing fans to say David's world class? If you could say to me, that fight he had in 2016, or that fight he had in 2015, or even that fight, you could say, yeah, he's done something. The only thing David Haye has in 2016 that makes him a world-class heavyweight is what he did back in 2012. against Derek Chisora. Because you can't say the Klitschko fight, he couldn't get past the left jab. All right, so so let's track back. So not the Klitschko fight. Okay, so he beat up Audley Harrison. Does that make you world class? Okay, let's track back a little further. He beat up John Ruiz. Does that make you world class? All right, let's track back even further. Okay, I'm starting to think now. Monty Barrett. Okay, let's go back. Thomas Boring. Let's track back even more. The Mormek fight when he was cruiserweight. Yeah, that's when he was like a world-class fighter. So a good fighter, yes. World-class punching power, yes. But the thing is he world-class at 35 years old? What is the evidence? Yes, he's got a world-class punch, but he's modified his style. But we've got no evidence. We are basically on this sort of like, he can punch. What's his reflexes like? What's he like in a real fight? Does he want the fight? Can he hold the shot anymore? These are things that nobody knows. Back with the Fury fight, back in 2000, whenever that fight was going to be made. Did something happen in that sparring session? I remember telling people, and I know a lot of people love to laugh at me, but here I am again. I told you guys when Fury and Haye was going to fight the first time, I said that Nick he was pulled out of that fight. That was definitely Nick. He was pulled out of the fight. The story was on the street that Haye had seen the condition Fury was in, and he didn't like what he saw, and he wasn't in proper condition. The other story I heard is that the sparring session between him and Deontay Wilder didn't go as according to plan. Adam Booth himself in 2016 was recently interviewed and asked about the David Haye. Well, the questions I'm asking are the same questions that Adam is asking. Can he take a shot anymore? How good is he? What's in the heart? We knew that in 2000, we knew that when he was fighting to become cruiserweight champion, what the ambitions was. We knew when he was fighting Valuev to become heavyweight champion of the world. Okay. We knew when he was fighting Klitschko to become unified heavyweight champion of the world. Okay. But since then, a lot of things have happened. We had the Manuel Shah pull out when he was injured. He was supposedly injured. And then miraculously 3 weeks later on, he's got the Fury fight. The two pullouts from the Fury fight. The mockery and the whole thing with the Klitschkos and the toe. So you look at David now in 2016, and he's got his hair in some strange style. And I also ask myself the question, is that a psychological thing for David? And you've got to look into these things. You think, oh, you're looking too deep into Ingram. His hairstyle, it's all rough and all over the place. But yet, then afterwards, you see him for fight night, his hair looks very well. Before you looked at David before, David was always very nicely well groomed. Doesn't look that way anymore. All these things, David to me now looks a tired man. A tired man. And he looks a man that he's like, next year is 2017. So again, from 2007 to 2012 to 2017, David Haye has not fought a world-class opponent. 2017, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's 5 years. If you're counting Derek Chisora as world-class. 5 years. You can talk it. You can say, oh, this man's world-class, and he's been inactive. He hasn't had rounds under his belt. Oh, well, I've got the experience. You can't beat Father Time. You can't beat Father Time. And Father Time catches up with everybody, including David Haye. So the illusion is David Haye even good anymore? I mean, I want to hear a solid argument here. Yeah, he's still a good fighter. Well, based on what, mate? Based on what fight, mate? Oh, well, he looks good hitting the pads. Well, nobody's hitting him back. I can look good hitting the pads. Well, when somebody hits me back in the chin and I fall over, it's them all together. Oh, we all look David Haye. But I'm just asking the questions. I'm asking the questions. I mean, surely it would be great to see David Haye in the big fights. But now we look at the heavyweight division, the heavyweight landscape. You would think with the speed and the movement, he would beat Anthony Joshua. But at 35, with him not running around the ring no more, sharp shooting and trying to stand in front of bigger guys, is that really smart? What happens when Joshua lands clean for the first time? If he lands, what happens? A Joseph Parker connecting, or Deontay Wilder connecting. So all these questions have to be asked. And if Adam Booth, his trainer, his ex-trainer, doesn't want to have anything to do with it for whatever reason. And he himself, in that interview after the Klitschko fight, almost gave up on David, said, you know, that was a terrible performance. That must say something. And for Adam Booth to ask the question, say, how do we know if you even got it anymore? Didn't take the Shannon Briggs fight. Rumors why he signed to Box Nation. No fight until next season. Why? So there's a lot of questions people to ask, but I'm going to leave it there. Those are my thoughts on the David Haye illusion. I think that Shane McGuigan actually could make David Haye a better boxer. I think Shane McGuigan would make David Haye use the jab more and may actually make him a better inside fighter. However, at 35 years old, I just think there's been many wasted years with David. And I just wonder now. And the other question is, you have to ask yourself this question, boxing fans. You know, David lives the celebrity lifestyle. He's traveling here, he's traveling there, he's doing this, he's doing that. How's he been looking after his body? He looks a tired man. Does he really want to be in the boxing ring anymore? Or is he doing it because he needs to make money because he's got financial issues? Those are two different mindsets. A man that wants to be in the ring because he really, really wants to be in the ring and has passions to become a world heavyweight champion again and to prove everyone wrong. Or to make as much money as I can, taking as little damage as possible and trying to be as slick as I can with it. Right? It's two different mindsets. Totally two different mindsets for me. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Those are my thoughts on David Haye's illusion. My ultimate dream for David Haye would be to see him in Vegas in a big money fight in Vegas or the MGM Grand. I think in Vegas against a top heavyweight winning the World Heavyweight Championship. That would be my dream for David, fighting in America and a top. I always said David Haye had the potential to be a global superstar. I said it. Go back and look at my videotapes. So this is not a hating thing. I said it. Okay? So it's just a shame. A real crying shame. Right. Let me see who's in the room. And I'm sure there's loads of people got lots of things to say. So bear with me. I'm going to go through the David Haye illusion. Speeches says, evening Ingram, what up Ingram, says Kyle D. Zest says, yo. Cardi says, what up SpongeBob, LOL. Is Boxing Gossip still in the room? Boxing Gossip, are you in the room, brother? Boxing Gossip, are you still in the room, my friend? Are you still in the room box? If you're still in the room box, it's got nice to get you in for 15, 20 minutes. Hello, Mr. Boxing Today. I hope you're well, my friend. I'm just trying to go through the room. Are you there, my friend, Boxing Gossip? Great. Let me see if I can just get you in quickly. Be nice to have you in the room again. The David Haye debate is one that has got captured the public's imagination as always. Seems to be one that boxing fans seem to. Let's see if I can get my. There's my man, Boxing Gossip. Let's see if I can find him on Twitter and bring him in. Because it'd be nice to go through these question and answer sessions with him. He's a good man. And you can bring the beard in with you as well, mate. Okay, son, I've just sent you the link to get into the room via I've just DM'd you via Twitter, so check that out. While you're doing that, I'm gonna try Boxing Gossip. I'm gonna try and get through some of these questions before you jump in the room. Let's see if I can find other people in the room. There we go. Right. He said he can't join, or he can't join, or oh, he can't join, so that's not a problem. No worries, no problem. Okay, let's go for the people talking in here in the room. Zest CFC says 2 Poland's absolutely turd. I agree. There's no way Haye should be in the world title mix as Kinos. Haye snail oil snakesman says Mr. Cutsy. Graham says the whole heavyweight division is turned out to be a joke. I agree. Haye is a decent cruiserweight, but is not prepared to work his way up the ranks again. I agree. Sorry. Okay, no problems. No problems. Family comes first, Mr. Gossip. I agree. Adam Scott says no problems. Just type us away in here. Then Adam Scott says looks like he doesn't have to. Snooker talks us high. Not prepared to lose 25 pounds either. I agree with you, Zest there. Exactly, Adam, which makes boxing look very bad. Mr. Cutsy, David Haye never lies. LOL, LOL. Kino says, Zest, whether Haye fights heavy or cruiser, you should still have to climb the ranks. It stinks. I agree. Haye is a big name. Of course, he's going to be in the mix, says Feed Khabib. Modern Broadcast says, Gilberto Mendoza basically said they want him as the champion. Agreed. I understand that. Adam Scott said if he fights for the title, it will probably be against Josie Parker. It is really possible. It is really going to travel to the New Zealand for that and a small purse. I can't see that happening. I know 2006 he promised so much for the heavyweight division, delivered so little. Joshua fought nobody and has an IBF title. Money talks. A reminder says you don't know shit about boxing. A question my answer to you is why the hell are you tuning in? Zest CFC says governing bodies aren't stupid. They want big money fighting, big money fighting for the belts. I agree with you. If it takes, Kino to Khabib says if all it takes is a big name to get world titles, why bother having the rankings at all? I agree with you. Khabib responds by saying ask the governing bodies who rank big names high for no reason. Boxing rankings are a joke. Donut down was mandatory for Kell Brook. He isn't even top 20 of 147. I agree. Kino says even long-term boxing fans like me are getting sick of the corrupt shit now. I agree with you. What about removing himself from the WBC? Very fishy, says Damien. I agree with that. And if you listen to my interview with Eric Molina I did last night, he's of the same belief. Fraser Quendo is mandatory for Lucas Brown. Terrible, says it all. Briggs is ranked 5 or something by the WBA. Another one. When's the last time he fought a world-class opponent? Hope Haye Bellew happens. Will be glorious to see Peanut Head Bellew getting scraped off the deck. Charlie Cutting says hello. Shout out to Charlie. Bellew retirement fund. Well, I think that that fight is, if David Haye's got any sort of speed left, Bellew was getting caught with overhand rights by the great BJ Flores. So if David lands out just one of those right hands, it will be over. Because David does hit with that kind of power. Zelda Freak 2K. Are sanctioning fees for world titles all a set amount, or does it depend on the fighter of what amount is? Anybody know? Don't know, but I can find that information. Remember when Haye ducked Manuel Shah? Didn't duck him, had an injury, but really wasn't really injured. It was just that the ticket sales weren't going well, so he used the injury to pull and get himself out of the fight. Sanction fee is a percentage of purse. Thanks. Charlie Cutton says, hello, how are you, Ingram? Much better than I was the other night. David Haye is dangerous. I agree. Chisora was his real last fight. Yeah. And again, determining on what if you determine Derek Chisora to be a world-class heavyweight, based on the fact that Tyson Fury duffed him up, Klitschko duffed him up, and then Haye fought him after that, remember. So people with bigger purses, higher rankings, e.g. Haye. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Mr. Boxing Today says, Vitaly greater than Vlad. I agree. I'll agree with that too. Charlie Cutting at Mr. Boxing Today. Hi, Mr. Boxing. Thoughts on Haye beating Tepper last week? Haye beat Tepper. Oh, great. So that's why they rated higher. We don't deserve it. It's like Haye's comeback. Says Zelda. Kino says they should start ranking boxers by the money they get in, then like golf. Okay. Kino says joke. Mark Berry says, what's up, Ingram? I'm running through this as quick as I can. Zest, yep. And that's how AJ was ranked so high, the IBF and WC, in just a few knockover jobs. Agree. DA, bad guy says, yep, Vitaly's better than Vlad. Absolutely. Charlie Cutting at Mr. Boxing 2 at Charlie Cutting. I thought Hamer outworked him. Tepper condition looked horrible. Amazing. David Haye was criticizing David Price for getting chinned by Tepper and called him a guy that works in the kebab shop. But is he really in a position to criticize anybody with his last two opponents? Just say. Modern broadcast. Basically, mate, all you need to do is get in touch with a big fat wadded envelope and your man's in business. That's about right. Same accounts for George Groves and Shane. I would agree. That's George Groves is another one, another illusion. Charlie Cutting, Mr. Boxing Today agreed. I had Hamer up on the cards. I thought it would be a split decision. We're next for Granat 2. Heard he's fighting in February. Barbat, I'm 38 and got back into basketball a couple of years ago. Everything's come back except my wins. I get tired so easily. Recovery is forever. David Haye's win has got to be much more worse in 2012. I agree with you there. There's no way your stamina can be better in 2016 than it was in 2012. No way in hell. Sorry. And your work rate can't be as good as it was in 2012 and 2016. If it is, it's something you're definitely on. Zelta Freak, yeah, true Zest. I suppose it makes sense for the governing bodies to do that. They make more money from the belts. Modern broadcasters, or in the case of certain UK promoters, offer to put on some bullshit fights for their bullshit titles. Agree. David versus Jarek showed he still has got what it takes. No, he didn't, Graham M. That guy was getting smashed in sparring by Fury. Sparred with him for 1 round, using 1 round as a sparring partner. He never came back in the gym. Right? That guy was useless. Modern Broadcasting exchange for ranking another fighter. I wonder why Adam Booth left David Haye. Look at the Klitschko fight. Might be an idea. I'm not sure who is next for Ghana. Let me skip that. Right. Anthony Cullis says, being to Enzo Mack, Barrett, Harrison, Ruiz, Vlad, Chisora, I'm a big fan. But then last 2 opponents were joke. Not paying to see unless it's an elite fighter. Very good there. Klitschko did catch Clay with a few clean shots times. I rewatched the fight last night, so it's clean, fresh. Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't, but I think Klitschko was catching him with shots and pulling back at the same time because he didn't want to get nailed. Mr. Boxing, the Cobra, really disappointed. I watched him fight a few times and never thought he'd take a dive. Fee says, I'd make Haye favorite against AJ Wilder right now. I wouldn't. It's only your what would you base him being a favorite on? The last 2 fights he was in, or the Chisora fight in 2012? Joe Hanks is coming back next month too. Who do you think Haye will fight in December? I don't believe he's fighting in December, for the last time I understand. He's not fighting until next year. The December 10th date was cancelled. Hank should fight Chaz Witherspoon or somebody, whatever. I'm sorry, this is David Haye tonight. David Haye ain't confident anymore. I think it's because he was so convinced he could beat Vladimir Klitschko. That could be something, or he got ruined by Wilder in sparring. We'll find it next year. I'm sure he'll scam a world title shot. Graham, yes. Fighting Nick Guveus, I heard. Oh dear. A boxing politics is a load of bull. Haye versus Brown next. I'm losing track of who's actually in the signed fight at the moment. Will probably turn out to be someone we never guessed. Shout out to Boxing Gossip in the room, of course. Pure rant like this. Haye loves the fame of boxing, not the sport, I guess. I agree with you, Yannick. Home of the God 100,000 said, you could say the same thing about Joshua and Fury before they beat Vlad. Who does Haye need to beat to prove he's world class? Maybe fight someone in the top 10. That might be a start. Or maybe someone in the top 20. That might be a start. Mikey, good morning, England. Good morning, Mikey. Good to see you in the room. Boxing today. Looks like he's fighting Bellew next, possibly. Just watch your latest upload, BG, on the money again, of course. Anyone in the world top 10 would do. Rafa Dantes, that I just agreed there. Joshua has never been a world level opponent yet. Neither has Wilder. Stavern is average. Okay, I can't agree with you there. Is focus pure money? I think so. Yes, going through here. Is it true that Haye signed with Box Nation? I heard that a couple of days ago. I heard that too. Haye was in running that entire fight against Vladimir Klitschko. I agree. Box Nation has pay-per-view. That's why. Yep, agree with that. Haye's the first openly gay heavyweight champion. Wow, a role model and inspiration. Barry Venison. Right, good stuff, Ingram. Thank you so much, Mikey, Matt, Barry. I think Alan Bustans and David Haye seems to be telling to me, as far as I was concerned, it says the same thing too. Joe Reese says against Leopold Wallace, please. And then he says, Danny will claim he's the best heavyweight in the world. I know. Haye versus the Vernon Dominican Republic Legislator, not going to happen. Inactivity may cripple Haye in the end. I agree with you, Mikey. Charles Martin Camp. Charles Martin, David Haye. Do you want to see that? David Haye is scared to announce a fight because of the vacant WBO. Well, the WBO is going to be between Parker and Ruiz. Briggs wants a pay-per-view fight for being money. For being money, was never going to take that fight for what was on offer from Dave and likely to get a beating. I think that's a load of garbage. I don't trust what David Haye says. I believe Briggs actually wanted to fight. I think Briggs came through the fight and David Haye didn't want to take a chance because he knew if Briggs kicked his ass, his career was over. Because he probably knows maybe he's not as good as he's selling himself to be. I don't trust anything David Haye says. From what I've seen, Frank Warren always seems to get good rates WBO titles for his stable, so Haye will probably get the vacant W shot at some point. Okay. Let's keep going now. I'm just going to go through. I'm really going through tonight, really going through and trying to tonight I'm just kind of focusing on David Haye. Let's go. Boxing Gossip just piled off Ingram. Such a shame. Oh, he hasn't. He's got family commitments tonight, and I respect that, and it's not a problem. We'll get him back on. We'll get him back on. Not a problem. No PBC talk tonight. David Haye only. Sorry. Tomorrow night we've got the live show. We'll talk about that. I'm trying to get through the whole David Haye thing. Dave was sloppy as hell against the Cobra, clumsy and smothering his work. Joshua, Ortiz, and Vlad all beat him, quite possibly. Let's see. Charlie Cutting again. Hello. Well, let's keep going here. Let's keep going down. Buenos dias, Mikey. Good night. Do I have a live one every week? Yes, we're live here tomorrow night, 11 p.m. UK time and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA time. Ingram, big shout to Phil and Dane team. Fury, massive shout to them. Zlatican, I've spoken to Zlatican a few days via Twitter. We're trying to get a translator to get Zlatican on live on the show, but at the moment we've got some problems, obviously, with translation because he doesn't speak great English. So that'll be interesting. Ingram, please say hi to my friend Boxing Discussions. You didn't say hi back to him last time and he was left gutted. Oh, Boxing Discussions. Hey, what's going on, man? I didn't mean to do that. And obviously, when you have these chats going through, hope you're well. And please accept my apologies. I don't ignore anybody unless they're a complete prick on the show. I have very few of them now. They've all been blocked and deleted. But thank you so much. And shout out to you again, Boxing Discussions. How are we doing, Boxing Discussions? Ingram, gonna read all the comments in here. It's so funny. Yeah, I'm gonna try to. Gossip, your curtains are the best, man. Your best, pal. I don't have any curtains, BD. Right. Hartley Marshall. Good morning, Mr. Jones. I'm fine. Who do I think? Rapid Reactions Mythology Training. Good to have you in the room. Who do I think David Haye fights next? Low risk, high reward. Oh, my apologies, the wallpaper. Oh, okay. David Haye is interesting. Excites people, says Martin Kelly. His last two were just him getting back to where he was. Wait, that's an excuse. It's inexcusable, right? That's why, not being funny, Martin Kelly, but it's comments like that is what allows David to get away with the garbage he's got away with. Those two guys were not even fit to be sparring partners. Those two guys were not fit to be sparring partners for David Haye. Okay? So that says it all. The guy he fought were nowhere near his level, and he had to show that. Well, he could have shown that fighting the guy in the top 30. So I'm sorry. Graham says, it's like his grandma picked it on acid. Boxing Discussions. Hello, Ingram. You seem to have ignored my message, sadly. No, I haven't. I've just got to it now. Martin Kelly, there's loads of top rank 15 opponents he could have showed his current class against. Not those two nobodies. Thank you so much. I would love to come on the show if you have seen some of my stuff. Oh, yeah, great to have you on the show. If you're around, you can jump in tonight. If you want to have a chat, let me know and I'll bring you in. But I don't know where to, I don't know how I'd send you a link because I don't want to put it out and have everyone charging into the room. Have you got a Twitter page? You can give me a Twitter page, tweet me, send me a direct message on Twitter and they can send you. Ingram, can you start signing Thriller? You lost me there, mate. Haye is fighting trash cans to drive interest into a Joshua fight, then cash out and retire. Yeah. Leon Jones, sounds good. Boxing Discussions, Graham, he hates me, LOL. Already scammed the title shot. He's WBO mandatory for Parker Ruiz. Proper swerving you. When you're out for so long, you've got to take on people of varied levels. He's done that and he's shown he's still a competitor. Hey, he's still very dangerous. Okay. David Haye fought in 2012. Right. Let me paint a picture for you. Muhammad Ali in his comeback fights. Okay. In his comeback fights, he was taking out. He wanted to become a heavyweight champion. Look at the road that man took on his comeback. But Tyler Klitschko was out of the ring. Look at his comeback. Remember? He was out of the ring and his comeback fight against who? Against the guy that knocked his brother out. Huh? Don't talk to me about these two guys weren't fit to be his sparring partners. These guys, I don't know how much you know about David Haye. these guys wouldn't have been. Those guys probably wouldn't be fit to be, his first and second opponent in his career. No, sorry, I don't agree with you. I'm sorry, I can't agree with you. Boxing Discussion says he is, mate. Doesn't like my channel or content. Graham, talk to him. Haha. Martin Kelly comes back and says, "You expect Haye to just come back and go straight into title fight?" Yeah, I do actually, because Vitaly Klitschko did it. He is what you call a world-class heavyweight. Yes, I do expect it. For someone like David Haye's caliber, yes, I do. Doesn't work that way. What about the people who have been earning their way to those fights? Huh? Sorry, mate, but you don't make sense. Because if we're going to talk the way you're talking, then he should be still ranked 100 and something then. Because where's Mark Demori ranked in the world? And where's that guy ranked in the world? And David Haye ain't fought since 2012. So where should David Haye be ranked? Based on what you're saying, he fight Gurja and he should fought, what's his guy? Gurga, or whatever his name was, the Cobra, and he fought Demori. Based on what you're saying, Martin Kelly, what you're saying, your words, David Haye should be anywhere near the top 10. Using your words. So, no, he shouldn't be in the top 10. No, he shouldn't be getting a WBO title fight. No, he shouldn't be fighting anywhere near the top 10. He should be fighting somebody in the top 10 or the top 20 to get a decent ranking. That's how it works in your world. Your biased world, by the way, because it's David Haye. And that's what I talk about, the illusion, and how it has some people quite deluded because they're not opening their eyes and seeing things as they should be. It's in the way David Haye's kind of like snake charmed you. Look into these eyes and listen to me. I'm speaking the truth. He's about 300 comments behind, mate. Zest says he can spar them kind of clowns and know he's a cut above. Agreed. Just jumping through it now. Jumping through. Haye should fight Molina. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. LOL. Yeah. Is he going to be up the chat? Hartley says, hello, Ingram. Hello, Hartley. Just a shambles our heavyweight division, says Paul Moore. The sooner Tyson comes back, the better. Agreed. Hartley Marshall says blanking. LOL. The sole purpose of the Haye boxing comeback is to fight Anthony Joshua. Agreed. Ingram is popular today. Maybe because I'm actually talking just boxing and just, Let's see what we've got here. Heavy boxing stinks without Fury, and I can't stand Fury. It's abysmal. Ingram, would you join Boxing Gossip podcast every Wednesday? Yes, if I was invited and sent the invitation, I'd be more than happy to join my good friend Boxing Gossip. Haye versus Fury in 2013. How would that have gone in your opinion? Great shows. Any interviews with Bashir coming up? As long as he doesn't go running, yeah, we'll find Bashir. We'll have a word with him. How would it have marked up? Well, Haye couldn't get past the left jab of Klitschko, and arguably Fury's got better footwork than Klitschko, and I think I don't know. I still think Fury would have beaten. I think Fury would have out-muscled him. I really do. I think he would have taken him down the stretch and beat him up. I really think so. I really do believe that. You saw what he did to another cruiserweight, which is Steve Cunningham, and I would say Steve Cunningham is a better boxer than David Haye. Take David Haye's punching power away. David Haye's got no boxing ability. He's a puncher. But 4 or 5 rounds, I mean, he was blown out of his ass against Chisora. He struggled with the left jab, and it would have not been a better fighter in 2013. So I still think Fury would have won that fight. Jory says he claims he always gives the public what they want, but he never gives us the extra fight we want to see him in. I agree. Vinda Singh says you can't blame boxers for cherry picking if they're getting money thrown at him, just like footballers' wages, I guess. I agree. Big shout, Ingram. Yes, of course. Rapid reaction, mythology training, seeing some of your stuff. Good stuff. Yes, you can. The MMA fighters get peanuts and take the toughest fights back to back. That is why the UFC is getting the respect it is. I'm telling you, boxing fans, if this nonsense keeps going within boxing world, I'm telling you, I'm going to split my channel right down in half, because at least I know I'm covering the best fighters versus the best fighters month in or month out. That's exciting. That's what you want. Ingram's such a gracious gentleman. I do what I can. I'm not gracious all the time. Boxing discussions, especially when people are talking garbage. Shout out Ingram. Cheers, Glenn. Let me know, Graham. Let me know what you think. I agree, but bad. LOL. They had okay records. What? Your thoughts on the heavyweight prospect Tom Savage? 40-0, and he called the AJ Carter, the guy who comes on here. No idea. Scottish John says, Martin, give up, make excuses for Haye. Boxing discussions, can't DM you, mate. Well, I can't help you then. David Haye said he had a special announcement. Yeah, his special announcement was that he was doing some charity work with cancer and telling men that they should check their balls for testicular cancer. So the work was great, what he's doing, but it's the big announcement had nothing to do with boxing, just that he was at the event. Ingram, has Briggs been ignoring you on Twitter? Not quite. Myself and David Briggs go back a while before the whole "Let's Go, champ." Yeah, those days. So he knows my cousin very well in the States. Him and are very tight. So yeah. No, I don't watch Walking Dead. I watch everything else on the CW network. Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and of course, my favorite actor, Morris Chestnut, Rosewood. The ring need to boot Haye out of the top 10. It lowers their credibility. Agreed. Do you think David Haye fights a top 10 opponent? Does he lose? I don't know yet. I don't know. I think Fury would beat Haye the same way Klitschko did. Sit behind the juggernaut. I agree. I have a new foundation I've set up to avoid taxes for my upcoming purses. I'm a great guy. That it sounds like David Haye. King Kong versus the champ, Shannon Briggs. Your opinion, Lauren. This is another guy, the Luis Ortiz, who I was following before the hype behind Luis Ortiz. Check out my interview. When I did the interview, it was 2000 and it was a couple of years. I did the interview back with him or his team. Luis Ortiz is yet to fight a heavyweight that can punch. Now, to me, that's a concern. Okay? That's a concern. You're not fighting any heavyweights that can punch. Look at his track record. He fought a cruiserweight who had no business being in the heavyweight division, Coyote. He fought Tony Thompson, Brian Jennings. Now he's fighting Malik Scott. Why is he always fighting guys that cannot punch? Ask yourself the question. And the one fight of the guy who really could crack, he didn't want anything to do with it, which is Romain Stavern. Ask yourself the question. So Shannon Briggs, I'll give Briggs a chance against King Kong only because Briggs can crack. And I don't know what Luis Ortiz's chin like. And his stamina is questionable as well. So his chin and his stamina are questionable. We know he can box. But remember, Luis Ortiz's amateur record wasn't great because he was like the third best amateur in Cuba. So he wasn't a great amateur fighter. So a lot of King Kong is hype at the moment. Who has he really beaten? He beat a passing Tony Thompson. He's now fighting Malik Scott and he'll fall over. No disrespect to Malik Scott. Malik Scott has got to really put a good performance in against Leopai. He's got to fight again and actually, as soon as he gets hit on the back of his head, he doesn't fall over. It's not disrespecting Malik Scott. I just hope Malik Scott, he's got the boxing skills to beat any heavyweight in the world because I think Malik Scott's got tremendous talent. But desire, heart, and what is he doing? Is he in it for the money, or is he really in it to become world heavyweight champion? So that's what it's about. Oh, Ingram, I tweeted you, mate. Right, okay. Jet at Jet87. Yep, I see you, mate. I see you. I see you, son. I see you. Let me just check my Twitter, bring you in the room, son. Right, I've just followed somebody, and I don't know what's going on here. But they're not following me back. Right. Okay. Nice one there. Box of Gossip giving you a little. Okay, gotcha. Bang, there you go, son. Just click on the link. I've just sent you the link so you can jump in the room and have your say. Where are we now? Right. Let's see what we've got here now. Who's next talking? Blues Ortiz beats Jacob Gossip. Stop abusing Ingram. That's at least a good win. You're terrible. You shouldn't do things like that. All seriousness, Hartley Muff says, Ingram, you're doing a good job, mate. Talking a lot of sense as always. Thank you. 3 was the next Great White Hope. Yes. What? I don't even want to go down the whole Great White Hope. He's just a very good boxer. Forget color. I'm not going down it. He's good. He's a good fighter. I love Tommy Morrison, but he's a great fighter. I mean, he wasn't legendary, but I love Tommy Morrison. Big left hook. Remember his fights against Joe Hip and that fight he had against Razor Roddick, and even the Mercer fight. I thought Tommy Morrison was a good fighter, exciting fighter. I would love to see Tommy Morrison versus David Haye. I would love to see Tommy Morrison against Herbie Hyde. I would love to see Tommy Morrison against Riddick Bowe. I'm not saying he would have beaten any of those guys, but I would love to see it. I would love to see Evander Holyfield fight David Tua. But hey, Malik Scott can count to 10, says Lakvinda. I'm not biased to Haye, really. He's good for UK boxing. Uh-oh. There we go. This is what I mean by the David Haye delusion. By when your delusion falls upon you. I'm David Haye, and whatever I say, take as gospel. And I open my eyes and I say, I'm fighting somebody you need to watch. Believe it. And what you do, you go, yes, David. Yes, David. For me, I'll tell you where I got into the David Haye delusion. When I was deluded about David Haye, I'll tell you when it was, around the time when David Haye was world heavyweight champion, he fought Woody Harrison. And I used to turn across and I used to tell my friends, hey, stop. The president is on. And I would just sit down and I would listen to David Haye just talking on Sky. And I'd be like, go on, David. Go on, David. Yeah, everything you say, David, yeah. Yeah, you're the savior of the heavyweight division. Yes, David. Of course, David. Yes, David. You can punch so hard, David. And you're so good, David. And you're the former undisputed cruiserweight champion, which was a lie because you're only unified. Yeah, David. Okay, David. Yes, David. And that's exactly how I was. Oh, yeah, David. And yeah, David. Yeah. Yeah, and I believe, David, when you ran up those steps in the escalators and you confronted Klitschko, yeah, go on, David. That's how it's done. Yeah, David, you confront him. You do that, Klitschko. Yeah, David. Just need like one of them big right hands like you did on Valuev, and it'll be all over. You're splattering. You'll be the greatest heavyweight ever. Go on, David. I even bought Fight Night Champion because of you. Yeah, go on, David. You can do it. And that's exactly how I was deluded until the Klitschko fight happened. And I just watched a man who could not get past the left jab. Do you remember the days with Adam Booth? We had that stick, and you used the stick to use the reach for David Haye. Do you remember those days? Oh my God! Why did I not see it then? Why did I not see it then? Now I just see the garbage for what it is. But of course, Martin Kelly says, I'm not biased to Haye, really. He's good for UK boxing. He gets the crowds in. I wouldn't have expected big opponents in the first couple of fights, to be honest. But who else in the UK? Fury, he's out. He's out for a bit. Price, well, their fight is he could have fought. He could have fought Takam. Takam's a good fight. If he's good enough for Joseph Parker, he's good enough for David Haye. So Takam's a good fight. Let me think who else he could have fought. Dominic Brazil, Charles Martin. I mean, these are guys that are in the top 10 or around the top 10. What's the other guy's name? The guy, Gerald Washington. For heaven's sake, David Haye could have fought Jason Gavin. Jason Gavin was better than those two guys he fought. I mean, you laugh at me for saying that, but he's better than those two guys he fought. As a comeback, you could have Jason Gavin as a comeback. People say, okay, Jason Gavin, all right. And by the way, Jason Gavin went X amount of rounds with Gerald Washington, 10 rounds. Okay. Eddie Chambers. David Haye, Eddie Chambers. That would have been a good fight. Huh? What's wrong with that? I'm throwing things out of guys he could have fought.
Hello, Ingram.
Whoa, what's scary?
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, mate?
I can hear you, and you look like a boxing gossip with a beard.
Oh, yeah. I think he actually copied my my picture.
Oh, so were you before the boxing gossip or the boxing gossip before you? How did it all work?
Gossip's like a big brother. He's far bigger than me, you know. I've been watching his channel since the John Smith days. No, I'm joking. I've been watching his channel for years. Watching your channel as well. Big fan, mate.
Appreciate it. Well, while you're in the room, we'll just for those people who've just tuned in, we've got the guy by the name of the Boxing Discussions. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct, mate.
We're gonna call you BD tonight. Is that all right?
Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, however you feel comfortable, mate.
Great. So BD's in the room. So we're gonna switch now, and let's turn the attention to you because I'm sick and tired of talking about David Haye. In fact, I'm starting to take on David Haye mannerisms. So before that happens, I'll start getting my eyes wider and looking at you in funny ways as if. But David Haye, sometimes you watch when he's talking, you look at him carefully, he opens his eyes and he looks at you in a certain way. It makes you feel that, yeah, David, I should have known that. And yeah, David, of course, how dare I question you, David? Of course, absolutely. You are talking 100% sense. And the casual don't know anything different. And I was one of those at one point when it came to David Haye. It was like, everything you say, David, is absolutely the truth. But now, seeing the crap that he's come out with and the absolute bull he's come out with, I can't believe him over the whole Shannon Briggs thing.
Mate,
I can't.
The Briggs thing is a joke, isn't it? Like, Shannon Briggs is what he is. I mean, you know, he's 44, 45 now. He's getting on in age. He's looking for a big payday. You know, Deontay Wilder's obviously offered him a fight on short notice.
Yes.
That sort of stuff. I mean, he's kind of fallen off the radar since, you know, the Haye fights kind of fell apart. I don't know if he's gone back to the States. I think he's gone back to the States and he's been training there.
I'm going to share an exclusive here, an absolute exclusive about Shannon Briggs.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take you all back to the Lennox Lewis fight. And I'm going to show you a secret that only those in the corner of Lennox Lewis knew. Okay? In the first round, when Lennox Lewis went back to the corner against Shannon Briggs, he was out on his feet completely. They had to revive him in the corner. Shannon Briggs hit Lennox so hard that when he backed to the corner, he was out on his feet. You know who told me this? Harold the Shadow Knight. I had an hour-and-a-half interview with him. Absolutely revealed so many things about the Klitschko fight, the Holyfield fight, the McCall fight, the Rackman fight. Things that you'd never have known about the career of Lennox Lewis. Stuff like Lennox Lewis, people say he was so cool and so calm in the dressing room. He was as nervous as hell. But again, I'm going to bring Harold on and he'll tell you all about the story. But I just wanted to mention that in terms of Shannon Briggs and in terms of sort of punching power that Shannon Briggs still possesses as a heavyweight today. And I'll tell you something, if one of those punches land on the chin of David Haye, the upset is there. And Briggs does not carry a weak chin. He does carry a great chin.
Yeah.
That's something that I know you say he's older, but the last thing a heavyweight loses is his punch.
Yeah, I mean, Briggs is they say power's the last thing to go, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
he lands on someone like you were talking about earlier, Luis Ortiz, those sort of opponents. He could take out anybody. I think he's dangerous in the first 3-4 rounds.
Three rounds. Shannon Briggs.
Yeah.
If I could put Shannon Briggs in a prize fighter tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
I'd put money on him.
You reckon?
Absolutely. Well, how many heavyweights in the world are going to stand up to him for 3 rounds and then punch in bombs coming off with Shannon Briggs? How many?
Yeah.
Based on the level of guys who fight at prize fighter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. You could say, it depends who we're talking about in the heavyweight division. Prize fighter, normally tends to be sort of low end guys. James.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking prize fighter with the best heavyweights in the world. We are kind of like now I'm getting deluded. But the one thing is
Burns or something like that of the world. Those sort of guys, the sort of fringe guys that they're not.
Fringe guys. Yeah.
He's kind of fallen off the face. He's kind of fallen off the face. I know he's ranked by the WBA, Briggs, but I haven't really heard too much of him, which is a bit.
I think he fell into the rabbit hole with David Haye. David Haye wasted a lot of heavyweights' time. He wasted Daniel Shah's time. He wasted Vitaly Klitschko's time. He wasted Tyson Fury's time. He's now wasted Shannon Briggs' time. And karma is a funny thing. It's a funny thing. You don't know when it's going to come round to you.
Yeah.
So you don't know. He may be offered and think, oh, it's going to be a world title shot for him. And who knows, round the corner, it might not happen for him at all. So 2017 is when David Haye's going to be fighting for a world title. He says, according to him. And he says a lot of things that I don't believe. So I don't believe the guy no more. Just wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone believes him. I don't know if you follow the lighter weight classes in England. Do you know? I'm not sure. Like extensively.
Depending on who we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good fights in the super featherweight division in the next month or so, a couple of months. Sosa's obviously facing Stephen Smith on the matchroom bill, Monte Carlo.
Yes.
Abraham's Murray is off that bill actually as well.
Yeah.
I think Abraham is facing.
I cannot believe you've even mentioned that fight.
What, Abraham Murray? Yeah, that fight's off. That's what I've heard because I don't know what something's going on with that. I mean,
that fight was never on. It was that was disgusting. I mean that is what you call I'm a piss taker. I'm going to take the piss of you, and in fact, I'm going to take the piss of you in front of your face. Frank Maloney once said, "Jack the Ripper." I think he said, "Did he say Jack the Ripper? At least he wore a mask when he committed these crimes." Eddie Hearn, he's looking you straight down the barrel, like David Haye, looking straight down the barrel and talking BS to you. And the thing is, don't take it from me. Take it from the man himself. I went to sit down and did an interview with Eddie Hearn, and within the first 30 seconds of the interview, he looks at me and says, "I'm a bullshitter." That is because he knows. Eddie Hearn's a switched on man. He's a switched on man. He knows. I'm going to do an interview with him. He knows I'm not going to sit down, crack a joke, and listen to his crap. Listen, I asked you a question. I asked him about his cash. Asked him about cash cows. I asked about guys that you throw under the bus. Oh, I don't throw anyone under the bus. Oh, yeah, right. Of course you don't. You just put them in fights that you know there's no chance they could possibly win. And then when they get their ass kicked, then you say, all right, mate, no, I gave you your world title shot. I gave you an opportunity to prove yourself that you could never possibly win. But I gave you the opportunity.
I think that happened with Stephen Smith to an extent when he went over to face Pedraza. Kind of like he got him the world title shot and that sort of stuff, and he kind of just sent him out there, didn't really invest any money in him, and then I mean the fight was neck and neck until the knockdown, and obviously Stephen Smith lost, and Pedraza's a really good fighter. Pedraza's obviously facing Liam Walsh.
Yeah, Liam Walsh is my boy. Now that's a boy. That is my boy. I think he's one of the best fighters in the UK. Liam Walsh. That is not a world champion.
Yeah, I mean, Liam Walsh is a fantastic fighter. Shame his brother Ryan Walsh isn't as good. He obviously lost the European featherweight title fight.
Yeah.
So, but Liam Walsh is a fantastic fighter. Obviously, he's campaigned at lightweight. He's campaigned at super featherweight. And that's a tough fight against Pedraza, 50-50, I think.
I've always said he is a world-class fighter. Or he has the potential to be a world-class fighter.
Yeah.
Liam Smith, Liam Walsh, but my problem with Liam Walsh has been injury and inactivity.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
He's a top quality. Listen, if Ricky Burns can be a world champion, there is no reason why Liam Walsh cannot.
Yeah, definitely, mate. You're spot on there, man. I mean, as I said, that's another good fight to make for the super featherweight division. Lomachenko Walters is another good fight.
Great fight.
Corrales.
The reason why I don't like that fight, Lomachenko Walters, is because Walters has been inactive. And I think Walters should have had at least a couple of fights before the Lomachenko fight. Because Lomachenko is a fantastic fighter, right? So you need to be at your very best to fight Lomachenko. You can't be saying, I'm inactive and coming back to fight Lomachenko. Your punches need to be sharp, accurate. You need to be well-oiled before you fight Lomachenko. Because even Walters at his best, there's no guarantee he'll even beat Lomachenko. There's not even guarantee it'll be an even fight, based on Lomachenko's movement and skill and slipperiness and defensiveness and footwork and all that stuff. So I don't think it's a good fight for Walters now because of the inactivity. Yeah. I think it's a great fight on paper because you've got the puncher versus the boxer.
Yeah.
But that puncher's punching ability is now nullified to a certain degree because he's now fighting a guy who's not going to stand right in front of him and let him hit on his chin. So that reduces the percentage of the amount of punches he's able to land on the opponent. And then you've got an opponent not only that can counter him, but can punch himself. And that reduces the output of a puncher, especially if that guy's got enough power to hurt him. You understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I mean, as well, Walters obviously moved to 130 recently, and he faced Souza as well. And Souza took all of his best shots, so has his power sort of carried up? We don't know that. That's something that we have to take into consideration as well.
Absolutely.
Uchiyama obviously is facing a rematch against Corrales. Corrales beat him, so that's sort of in December time. That's a good rematch as well.
Okay.
I don't know if you watch any of the weekend's action, but obviously there were some good fights over the weekend.
Are we talking to Frankie Gavin?
Yeah, well, Gavin Eggington.
Well, I did do this actually, which leads me to my next point. I'm going to just very quickly do this. A tale of two fighters, Frankie Gavin and Anthony Onono. I always call him Onono because I never thought he had the ability. He had all the opportunities. If you think about Anthony Onono, from Subway to Dancing with the Stars to sitting on various shows, being a pundit and telling everybody what they should be doing in boxing and how good he was and whose arse he would kick and how somebody should do this and that. But he himself will sign to Golden Boy, will sign with the Sauerlands, and then you look at someone like Frankie Gavin. Was with Frank Warren, then left Frank Warren, joined Eddie Hearn. Doesn't do that much talking, highly skilled, made some poor choices in terms of fighting at higher weight divisions and extra activity outside the ring in terms of spending more time in the KFC and everywhere else. He'd be inside of the ring and looking after his body like a professional athlete and making some very poor choices. And you look at the two guys on that night, you showed one guy who had plenty of heart, plenty of guts in Frankie Gavin and plenty of balls, but has made some poor decisions. And then you've got somebody like, on the flip side, a guy that showed no heart, no balls, no guts, no skill. And if you think about it now, if Frankie Gavin had been given the the Golden Boy opportunity and the Sauerland opportunity. I think if you look at Frankie Gavin, he is a very good fighter, and Ogogo or No was just a packaged fighter, whereas Gavin actually was the goods, and he showed it. If he can, you think about Gavin and what Gavin did against what's the guy's name again? The guy who dropped him with the body shot. I can see now the Frenchman fought Keith Thurman. Bundu. Leonard Bundu dropped Frankie Gavin, and Frankie Gavin lost his unbeaten record to Leonard Bundu. Leonard Bundu then went and fought Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman dropped him, but then Keith Thurman couldn't get him out of there and went 12 rounds. He was on the back foot for most of that fight. And I think Frankie Gavin, who's not a welterweight, who's fighting at welterweight, was able to go 12 rounds with Bundu, okay, and box Bundu. And you think of someone like Keith Thurman, who's a big, strong, powerful welterweight, right? And Gavin is able to use his boxing ability to negotiate that. To me, that's a very good performance. I don't look at the fight against Errol Spence and Bundu. Bundu was not inexperienced, out of the ring for a long time, inactive, and at 40 years old, Bundu, I didn't rate that performance that much. And even so, Spence didn't look great. He was getting caught way too often, pulling straight back from punches. So that's my whole thing, is a tale of two fighters. So sorry.
No problem, mate. I mean, look, Gavin is what he is. He's a sort of British world amateur champion, obviously, and he pulled out the 2008 Olympics, fought at 140 for about 9 fights. I think I'm correct in saying that. Then he moved up to 447. I mean, you could tell blatantly at the weigh-in, he was bad at the weigh-in. He needs to be fighting. I've openly said this. I'm on the podcast panel on Gossip's channel.
Right.
We talk about it regularly. Frankie Gavin. He's very, very skilled. We picked him heavily. I put a heavy bet on him to win as well. Got good odds. But I mean, he should be fighting at 135. I'll be honest. He would be much better suited to 135, if not 140. I know he mentioned he wants to fight at 140 in his IFL TV interview. So, I mean, it is what it is with him, but he really needs to get a move on. He's no spring chicken at 31. And if he has ambitions of winning a world title, he could go back down to 140. Ricky Burns' day, he can make a world title fight with him. It won't be great money, but with both of Matchroom, that's a potential fight there. There's a lot of fights for Frankie Gavin at 135, 140 if he can make it. It depends if he can make it. Eddie Hearn actually said in his IFL TV interview, can he really make 140? Macklin said it on commentary. He doesn't live the lifestyle. He likes a burger and a curry when he goes home. So, it's tough with Frankie Gavin. It's tough to see where his career goes. I said it.
Okay, let's put a few things straight. Sky Sports commentary team love to tell a fighter that this is a make or break fight. This is the end of the career. If Sky Sports were back in the day of Ali, in the day of Leonard and Hearns, in the days of even Glenn Johnson, Oliver McCall. Glenn Johnson would never have been a world champion. Oliver McCall would never have been a world champion. Frank Bruno would have been a world champion. The first defeat he had against Bunker Smith, his career had been over. Because as soon as you lose a fight, Sky Sports say, well, it's the end of the road. It's the end of the road. It's not their call. Sky Sports, it's not Sky Sports' call to say somebody's end of the road for anybody. It's the boxer, and it's for the boxer to make the decision, it's the end of the road. Of course, there are some situations, like what we saw the other night with No, where he looked dreadful.
Yeah, terrible.
He needs a chin transplant. He needs a heart transplant. He needs boxing skills. I mean, he was terrible. I mean,
Ogogo was bad. He was
no.
We have this thing on. We have a special on the podcast, and it's "Wake Me Up Before Ogogo." So
Ogogo. Well, it's totally a no.
Wake me up before a no. We should.
It's a no. A total no. It's not even a go.
No is he's a character. I mean, I can't believe the scorecards. The scorecards are embarrassing. If I put it bluntly, the scorecards were terrible. Having him level and ahead, I mean, that's a disrespect to Craig Cunningham, And Cunningham's a sort of, not journeyman, but he's the sort of guy that gets a late notice calls, even though he has a 16-1 record, 17-1.
Embarrassing, and he can't. And Craig Cunningham's not a puncher.
Yeah, he's not a puncher, and he came in looking, not great. Let's put it this way: he had
Kind of looked like Manny Pacquiao in there.
yeah, he did. I mean, Nono's terrible. He was absolutely shocking.
No more.
It was
No
bad
more.
watching him. I mean,
I wish people at Subway said, you know what, mate? That's it. Your Subway, we're pulling we're pulling our sponsorship with you out. We have nothing more to do with you, mate. No more.
yeah. Did you see the Josh Taylor fight by any chance?
I love Josh Taylor. I spotted him beforehand. I think he's a great fighter. I think we spoke via Twitter. We were going to get an interview set up. I think he's a top fighter. Josh Taylor and Liam Walsh are two guys that have got just abundant of talent. Ryan Burnett, I don't see him, sorry. But those other two guys, I do see it.
Yeah, Burnett doesn't have that power, and he gets
Burnett
hit.
just puts him to sleep every time.
Hit a lot.
He puts him to sleep. The two fights I've seen him, he's put him to sleep. The only thing Burnett's got going for him is the fact that he's got Adam Booth in his corner, and I don't think that's a plus sign, to be honest.
I don't think he sticks to the tactics anyway, so he struggles a lot. I think.
I mean,
but he's going to move past the Farag level. It's going to be
the question. The other question I've got to ask myself is do trainers have sell-by dates?
I don't know. I mean, if you look at
trainers and managers, look at Mourinho. I mean, this is a guy that was. I don't want to go into boxing and football too much, but I'm just saying Mourinho is a guy that was the great one, and everything he touched turned to gold. It seems that every club he goes to, he seems to turn to shit now. That's what seems to be happening. I mean, you saw the other day he got thrashed 4-0 by his whole team. This is the same guy who was called the special one. You wouldn't dare say that about him now.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of trainers in boxing, it's tough to say. I mean, for me, if you look at someone like Nathan Cleverley's trainer, he's been with him for years and years now. I mean, Nathan Cleverley for me is completely regressed. He's turning into this brawler, high punch output, and that sort of stuff. For me, he was, not an excellent boxer or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but he could box a bit back in the day when he won his WBO world title against Koziemski. So, I mean, it's a bit of a shame to see someone regress so, harshly. And for me, after the win against Jürgen Bremer, I mean, that was it for me. That was it. As a top-level fighter, someone like Nathan Cleverley's done. And he needs to either ditch his trainer, because he's still, he's not even 30 yet, but...
I'm sorry. His trainer he's got a fitness first trainer, I swear.
He's a kind
of guy. I'm trying not to be disrespectful here.
Yeah, I know. I understand, mate. I agree.
His trainer seems to me is like, I've gone in the gym down to fitness first, and the guy comes up and says to you, all right, mate, so what do you want to do? I said, I want to lose some weight. I want to get in shape, I want to get in shape. I had a bad knockout defeat. I want to get myself, I'm hungry. I want to get back in the gym again. He goes, I'll tell you what, mate, I'll give you a plan. Here's our plan. And he goes, all right, oh, you box, do you? Well, I did a bit of boxing when I was a kid. Let's go and do some boxing together. And that's how I think it is. It's sad, but Nathan Cleverley, a guy of that talent and ability, should now be a top-class trainer. I'm sorry. Or a guy that knows a little bit about boxing, because his trainer is terrible.
Yeah, I mean...
He's terrible.
That's what I said before.
Oliver Harrison's terrible as a trainer. How can you go to Germany and tell a guy to mess a guy around for 5 or 6 rounds and use that as a strategy to try and win in Germany? And another guy who's a terrible trainer, what's his name? That Joe Gallagher. He's awful. All his fighters saying the way, straight up, no head movement, get you to the ropes, left hook to the body. Tuck up when everyone's throwing punches at you and hope the other guy tires at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Ingram, since we're talking about Joe Gallagher, I got something on him. Obviously, Badou Jack versus James Seguin has supposedly been made for January time. 2017 unification, yeah. Callum Smith, mandatory WBC.
I don't want Callum Smith straight up and down. Wait until he is going to get folded. I'm telling you. Wait and see.
What's your thoughts on Jack versus Smith? You think Jack will win that fight?
Wait. What? Callum Smith you're talking here?
Yeah, Callum Smith. Mate.
Wait. Hold on. Let me ask you 2 questions. Question 1 about Callum Smith. How many punches has Callum Smith fought in his career?
Oh, no one of note. Maybe Rocky Fielding, if you want to count him as a puncher.
Wait. Say that again.
Rocky Fielding, but I don't think he's a puncher.
Wait. Would you stand in the middle of Madison Square Garden, right, on a platform in the ring and say Rocky Fielding with any confidence?
No, not certainly not, mate. Because
Well, so
he had a shocker against Rabras. He had a shocker against Christopher Rabras,
what?
and so
He's not. Listen, he's got there because of he fought for some bogus WBC silver title, which got him a #1 position. But he's fought nobody in the top 10.
yeah, definitely,
Nobody in the top
no,
10.
definitely. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think Rick Callum Smith is high, to be honest, but
Let me ask you a question. All right.
yeah, go on.
Okay. Callum Smith's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go through the guys that DeGale fought to be where he's at #1. Okay. Who I think he's the genuine #1 super middleweight in the world. Okay. 1. Brandon Gonzalez. Can Callum Smith beat Brandon Gonzalez?
Yeah, I don't rate Gonzalez. I thought he was a small super middle anyway. I just think you beat him on
Okay. All right. Okay. Next up. Does he beat Darrell?
a fit and healthy Darrell. No, no way.
Okay. Does he beat Butte?
Nah, don't think so. Nah. Bhutan heads.
Does it Butte on or off pads?
Yeah, off Peds. I think he don't. I think Butte beats him anyway, but that's my opinion.
Does he beat Porky?
Yeah, I think he'll beat Porky. I think Porky has that come forward style and he just clip him. Got good power.
Against who?
Smith.
Yeah, against who?
I think.
I mean, Smith's got good power against who?
Oh, I mean, obviously it's not proven, but it looks like he's a puncher. It looks like he's a puncher, and sometimes
he also looks like he takes a good punch. But who's he fought against? Who's a puncher? There's a reason why Callum Smith has not fought a puncher. There's a reason why they're keeping Callum Smith.
Hype behind him as well. I mean,
There's
a lot of hype behind him.
What has Callum Smith did as an amateur? Tell me what he did as an amateur.
Yeah, he didn't really do too much. Not that I'm familiar with.
Okay, all right. So as a pro, what's he done that's so great?
Nothing really, to be honest.
Oh,
As I said, I'm not really high on Callum Smith. I mean, you know, I watch boxing with my cousin, and he's quite high on Callum Smith.
okay, Callum Smith is what they call proper sky hype. Proper sky hype. Proper sky hype. That's what he is. Because when we look at it, if we look at it as it is, who's that geezer he fought the other night?
Callum Smith.
Who was going go toward? At one point, had him on the ropes, backing up against the ropes, straight up against the ropes, and getting hit to the body. Who's the guy he fought?
Callum Smith.
Yeah, the last guy he fought.
Hungarian super middleweight champion, Nemesa Petty, something like I think his name is.
Yeah, okay. Is he well rated?
Oh no, of course not.
How can it wait? So if Callum Smith's getting backed up like guys like him, what the hell is he going to do against Darrell? What the hell is he going to do against Porky, who can punch, takes a good shot, and comes forward? He was giving James DeGale a hard time in there.
Yeah, I mean, James DeGale, I think, is the #1 super middleweight anyway. I think he's got too many angles. You know, his footwork is class. Everything about him is world class. And I think
Listen,
people are picking Badu Jack, but
I love DeGale. I love him to bits. Problem with DeGale is those rounds where he takes off. I don't know if he takes off because he's struggling at the weight. I don't know if he's struggling because he has concentration issues. I don't know if it's because of the way he's training. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when it comes to James DeGale. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's #1 in the world. But that area where he likes to take rounds off, that will hurt him.
yeah, I mean, this fight, I think he really needs to just be switched on, or you know, he needs to be conditioned really well for this fight. I mean, it's a tough fight. Badu Jack has got a good engine. He's a good body puncher as well, very good underrated body puncher. So I think he really needs to, you know, put his foot to the pedal and you know, take it to Badu Jack. He's very skilled. I mean, some of the skills he shows are, you know, pound for pound level. I'll be honest. It's fantastic watching him.
I remember watching. Badu Jack against the Groves fight, and everyone was telling me Groves is gonna smash Badu Jack. Groves is gonna do this. I said, listen to me. Don't be surprised if Badu Jack drops George Groves or possibly stops him. George Groves, within the first 6, is dangerous. Take him outside the 6 rounds. That's where the problems begin, because George Groves, because George Groves fights the same way every fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a shame. I mean, George Groves is what he is, but he looks better under McGuigan. But I'd like to see him fight someone. Obviously, he faced Martin Murray, but Murray faces he fights to the opponent's level, which is why I didn't want to see him face Abraham. Although Abraham's facing Krasniqi now, which is a pretty darn awful fight, but that is another story within itself. I mean, if you look at George Groves, obviously he's facing Edward Gutneck next. Gutneck obviously faced Jürgen Bremer just before Bremer lost to Cleverly. So I mean, that's not a meaningful fight for him, because I think George Groves wins that pretty handily. But he could get back on a comeback trail. Obviously, Fedor Chudinov might be an option for the WBA title. Sorry, what's his name? Sturm has run away to Bosnia, so obviously because he has failed a drug test, he took his bags and so he's obviously ran away.
I do want to clear something up here and deal with people who have misinformation, like to drop misinformation and talk garbage. Listen, I don't have a problem with matchroom fighters. I do have a problem with bullshit being fed to me. If you want to be fed into the bullshit, then fine. Matchroom fighters are attached to Sky Sports. Sky Sports punditry team, fight after fight, week after week, you hear their fighters are doing great and the opponents are doing crap. This is not a dig at you now, Boxing D. This is just somebody on the channel trying to have a pop at me. Fact of the matter is this: boxing is about two guys getting in the ring and fighting, all right? And when you're doing a commentary, try and be objective and say, you know what, A is fighting doing this and B is doing that. Okay, that's how we like to look at boxing. Not the thing is, well, he's a matchroom fighter and whatever he does is fantastic. Whatever he does is fantastic, regardless if he's losing the fight, regardless if he's getting tagged every round, regardless if the guy on the other end of the other part of the ring or the opponent is boxing better, showing good skills, showing defensive skills, slipping good shots, landing good shots, blocking good shots. That, when it comes to Sky Sports and matchroom fighters, is not on. It doesn't happen. So as far as I'm concerned, anybody who comes up and talking garbage about I don't like matchroom fighters, I don't like BS. I don't do BS. Don't try and tell me a guy's winning a fight where he's clearly losing a fight, and don't come on my channel and tell me about how I hate matchroom fighters when you yourself are watching week in, week out on Twitter on Sky Sports and telling people, oh, this is terrible scoring. This is terrible commentary. And then be a hypocrite, come back on here and come and say to me afterwards, oh, I hate matchroom fighters. It's not I hate matchroom fighters. I hate BS. I hate BS. I hate people telling me crap. I'm tuning in. I pay for Sky for somebody to tell me a guy is jabbing another guy's head off when clearly he's getting his head jabbed off. I watched Scotty Cardell fight the other night against a guy who's quite regularly on here.
Kevin Hooper.
Now, I would biasly go with Kevin Hooper because we've interviewed him, we spoke to him, and we wish him all the best, right? When Scotty Cardell won the fight and he stopped Hooper, I was like, oh, that was quite a premature stoppage. But of course, I would say that, and I admitted that, yeah, maybe that's slightly biased because I want Hooper to win the fight. But before the ending of the fight, you say, oh, Scotty Cardell, he's slipping a jab. Scotty Cardell, he's making Hooper miss. Garbage. Because Scotty Cardell was catching the jab, flashing his face all the time. Everything Hooper was doing, they were ignoring. Everything Scotty Cardell was doing was fantastic. Absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And so again, it's not you I'm having to dig at. This is just people that are in the chat here, right? Absolute garbage, and it's got to stop because these clowns that come on here and do stuff, these are the people that actually killing boxing. These people have got no clue whatsoever. They're the ones that say, yeah, people like Adam Smith are what boxing needs. When you've got clowns like Spencer Oliver and Darren Barker sitting down saying, oh, well, Tyson Fury, that night when he fought Klitschko, Klitschko wasn't himself. Klitschko wasn't himself. The fact that Tyson boxed him 8 rounds to 4. Actually outboxed him. Klitschko was trying his best to land on Tyson, and Tyson was out moving him and boxing. That was one of the greatest performances for a British fighter. But oh no, that wasn't good enough. But yet, they were piling into David Price and oh, David Price is this and David Price is that. And he fought a guy was absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. So I can't deal with it. So matchroom fighters and Sky Sports, sadly, I think there needs to be some sort of a sort of like a line where it's not stepping over to a point where Sky Sports and matchroom fighters, there's a biasness, because clearly at the moment there is, and it's almost like, oh well, if you're under matchroom with Eddie Hearn and we've got to deal with Sky Sports, then we're going to protect the fighters and always talk about the best about the fighters, even if they're losing in fights. And the only way we'll talk bad about those fighters is if they get chinned. Otherwise, forget it.
Yeah, I mean, the commentary is bad. It's very, very, very biased. I mean, Box Nation isn't any better, to be fair, but their international coverage is fantastic. I give it to them. You know, they're obviously showing the Walters Lomachenko fight. They're showing some other good fights as well. So, you know, can't complain with Box Nation. I mean, I just want to hear your thoughts, Ingram, on sort of, you know, obviously you've spoken about Sky. You had a bit of a rant on them, but you know, Sky and sort of Box Nation. I did a video quite a few months ago on the sort of boxing politics and how, you know, how the sport kind of operates and what problems occur in the sort of boxing realm. And, you know, obviously so speaking of the sort of UK perspective and then international perspective, we have Box Nation, Sky, obviously Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, and Mick Hennessy over here. Yeah. Then we have internationally, you know, sort of Eurozone. We have Sowlands, sort of, you know, the main guys. Then over in the States, we have Bob Arum, Al Heyman. You know, Richard Schaefer's come back. Those sort of guys, Golden Boy. So, you know, like what kind of your thoughts on, you know, the sort of Cold War's over in boxing? You know, Bob Arum and Al Heyman working together, the dissension between Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn. Do you think it's good for the sport? Do you think it's bad for the sport? You know, competition is good to an extent, but what are your thoughts on it?
I've said this all along, and I will always stand by it, and I don't know why they don't do it. Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, Mick Hennessy, Dennis Hobson, those guys should sit around a table and do a face-off. I really do think they should. And thrash out the matters that matter within boxing. More transparency. You see, a snake doesn't like another snake because a snake knows exactly what another snake's going to do. All right? Yeah. So that's the problem you've got there. If you know the person you know you're dealing with is just as much a snake as you don't like to see the reflection of yourself in the mirror. All right? So in this boxing business, people do what they need to do to get to where they need to get to. All right. So I think a face-off would be brilliant. I think there needs to be more transparency. They need to stop the garbage. Stop lying to the fans. All right. The fight's on, a fight's on. If fight's not on, it's fight's not on. Perfect example. Eddie Hearn was saying via many interviews, Bermain Stavern, he knew how much money Bermain Stavern was making for the Povetkin fight. And I was talking to Stavern, and Stavern came on the show many times. He said, Holden, how can Eddie Hearn know about how much money I'm making when the purse bids haven't even been announced? Eddie Hearn makes something like 700,000 or something like that. Bermain was earning what, $2 million, $1.5 million or $2 million for the fight for Povetkin. So, you know, it's stuff like that don't help. It doesn't help. It doesn't, because fans believe that just because a promoter says something, it's fact. It's not fact. It's just what they're saying.
It's kind of like with the Joshua thing, isn't it? With Joshua Klitschko. He's obviously said the fight's going to be made and, you know, it's going to go ahead November 26th, then December 10th. Then they're obviously talking about Molina, Price, Jennings. Jennings is not even in the top.
There needs to be a separation between the fighter and the promoter. Yeah. I think Joshua is probably a great guy outside the ring, a really nice guy. I don't think the whole humble AJ thing is him. I think that's Eddie Hearn trying to paper him into the next Frank Bruno. I really believe that. I don't think that's Joshua. I think Joshua probably wants to be completely away from that. He probably wants more with Stormzy and his people and the Watford gang. I think that's what Joshua wants to be. I think that's who he wants to be. I don't believe that this humble AJ is him. I don't believe that, honestly. I think, and if AJ were to come out and say, you know what, this is who I am, I think boxing public would probably embrace him more so. You understand? So
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a line between the promoter. We saw Barry Hearn saying, "Oh, AJ's the best heavyweight in the world." I'm like, really? Honestly? Based on what? You knocked out Dillian White. Okay. So if he's the best heavyweight in the world, but yet there's a man who fought not too long ago against Klitschko and beat Klitschko, and he beat the long-reigning heavyweight champion of the world, and you're saying that your boy is the best heavyweight in the world, yet the guy who just beat the long-reigning heavyweight champion of the world isn't the best heavyweight in the world. That's the sort of crap that we're dealing with in boxing.
Yeah, I mean,
Garbage.
it's a problem. It really is a problem. I mean, promoters now coming out, not just Eddie Hearn, loads of promoters. I don't really like promoters, to be honest, but loads of them come out now on IFL, just seconds out with Radio Raheem, those sort of guys, and they come out and go, we've got this fight lined up. There's no sort of proof that they have it lined up. Obviously, they can't lay out the contracts and stuff. So, we should be told as fans, a certain extent, to what we want to know. The fight might be made. We're in talks, okay, but then not the fight is going to be made. I'll let you know next week, or I'll let you know the week after. I'll let you know on Monday, Tuesday next week. What happens? Klitschko pulls out. Lucas Brown's left. Who's Lucas Brown going to fight? AJ. They're talking about AJ Jennings. Jennings not even in the top 15 IBF. So now they're talking about David Haye with the WBO. It's just going from one extreme to another, especially in the heavyweight division now.
Hey,
what's been happening?
what ended up happening out of all this? I think it's either going to be David Price. I spoke to Molina yesterday. If they take Molina, fine. I think there's a decent fight if they take Molina or David Price.
Yeah.
And David Price, how they'll sell it is, well,
not inspiring. They're going to sell that sparring rumor,
Okay, let me clear that sparring rumor up once again, because it's garbage again. The sparring rumor about Joshua and David Price, that didn't happen in the amateurs, right? That happened in the pros. That happened when just before Joshua fought Matt Legg. That's when he got knocked out in sparring. Either Price went over to Joshua for sparring or Joshua went over to Price for sparring. That's when that happened. That happened before he fought Matt Legg. That didn't happen. Sparring didn't happen back in the amateurs. So in that case, he's KO'd him twice in sparring. But that's not the only guy. I think Fraser Clark's done it. I think Joe Joyce has done it. There's been a few guys that have chinned Joshua in sparring. So what?
Yeah, it's the heavyweight division, I think. I mean, the leg fight was the big Wembley. Was it the Wembley card or was it the?
Yeah, that's why he knocked out Leg in 58 seconds or something like that.
Yeah. I remember that. I mean, you could chin anyone in the heavyweight division, and a journeyman could knock out, anyone. You're a 15.
I just want to clear something. Mikey said Price said it's happened in the amateurs. It happened in the programs. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. This is something I know. As much as I was in the camp when Chisora damaged his hand for the second Fury fight. I watched Chisora sparring against Marius Back. I watched Chisora sparring against what's the other guy, the tall guy, Usmanov. I was watching both spar. I did interviews with both of the guys.
Okay.
I was there when Derek got his thumb damaged. I was there. I saw it all happen.
Okay.
And when Derek knocked Usmanov clean out in sparring.
Yeah, you were supposed to fight Fury as well. I know that. And then obviously pulled out.
I'm not sitting behind the camera and just talking. I'm getting people talking to me. And when you do interviews, you find out from certain trainers what is going on and when it's going on, why it happened. Okay? So it happened before the Matt Legg fight. Okay,
Yeah.
it happened before the Matt Legg fight, David Price. David Price said he did the amateurs. Does David Price really want to be coming out and saying that he chinned Joshua not too long ago? Really? Does that really want to be coming out?
Yeah, delving into the chat, because I was just looking in the chat. Mikey's obviously said something about Jakub Gospic, and apparently Haye tried to take his entire purse off him or something like that.
Yeah, Jakub Gospic, he's had a lot to say. He says he's going to expose a lot of promoters and fighters. That's what he told me. So I'm just waiting for him to. He said he hadn't got a webcam, but as soon as he gets a webcam, he'll do the interview with me.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that one. you know, I like to hear that one because that's quite interesting. I mean, David Haye, obviously, as you said just earlier, just before I hopped on, he's been robbing the fans. You know what? I think Tony Bellew, what he said was probably right. I know he's not a saint himself. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, what he said has some sort of note and some relevance in today's boxing terms. He's robbing the fans of real, you know, boxing fights and matches
Mm-hmm.
that are competitive. David Haye has elite talent. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic, fantastic fighter. One of the best cruiserweights ever. Let's put it that way. But
Interesting you say that, because one of the best cruiserweights ever never fought Steve Cunningham.
yeah, I mean, well, Steve Cunningham was slightly. I mean, he hit his peak
He was
slightly.
IBF champion. Steve Cunningham beat Marco Huck.
No,
Before Marco Huck went on that long run,
he did
he
actually. Yeah.
beat who else did he beat a whole load of fighters. Steve
He beat
Cunningham.
Hernandez, didn't he? I think he
There
beat.
you go.
Yeah, Hernandez. He beat a few others as well. Cunningham's a respected fighter. Let's not get it, you know, twisted.
That would have even been a great comeback fight. David Haye versus Steve Cunningham. That would have been a great comeback fight.
He's quite old now. He's close to his 40s, 39 now, I think, and he's moved back down to cruiser. And he's always been a sort of guy who can float around, and you know, he's always been banging shape. So
Yeah.
that would have been a good fight as well. I mean, but David Haye, he is what he is. He's a low risk, high reward, you know, cash out fighter. That is what he is now, because he knows his body is not able to take the demands of heavy training and, you know, fighting anymore. He was cutting a load of weight. Fair enough, he got injured. He's made bullshit excuses, but now obviously he's come back and he's trying to make money. Fair play to the guy, but don't cheat the fans. He's been cheating.
I'm always interested in David Haye. When I watch David on TV, there are days I see David when he's at the gym and he looks very small. And then you watch him before fights and he looks bigger, much bigger. It makes me always wonder about David. I'm always watching him and I'm always...
You think he's on the roids?
Well, what's his name?
He's obviously not...
Eric Molina said that it's amazing how David Haye never signed up to the WBC jumping system.
Yeah. I mean, some guys didn't do it as well, and John Pascal didn't do it as well. You know, a few others didn't do it. So, you know, it is skeptical. It puts a red flag over some fighters, and you know, you don't want to see that in boxing now. I mean, if you look at sort of the tragedies that have happened in relation to PEDs or not in relation to PEDs, obviously Mike Towell, God bless him, and you know, Nick Blackwell. Obviously, the fight is that they've lost to Dale Evans and Chris Eubank Jr. They haven't been on PEDs or haven't been noted to be on PEDs. But then obviously you look at, you know, Erkan Tepe. Erkan Tepe lost to Christian Hamer recently, and Erkan Tepe was knocking out everyone. And obviously he comes off the voids and he's not knocking out no one. He looks like a fat, you know, kebab man. Let's put it that way.
I called him to David Haye. Of all the people to call him a fat kebab man, hold on. David, what have your last two opponents look like, mate? When he said that would have been a perfect opportunity to say, David, all due respect, mate, your last two opponents haven't exactly looked great themselves, have they? One was a YouTube fighter who got chinned by a guy called Digger, and the other guy the other guy wasn't fit enough to be a sparring partner.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem now. I mean, you know, I don't know where David Haye's going to... I mean, look, David Haye's a draw in the heavyweight division, which is a shame. It shows where sort of how the division is at the moment. It's such a low, is in terms of marketability, in terms of the top guys.
But I think because the reason why David Haye is such a draw is because a lot of them have fallen into the David Haye delusion. Because they still got their minds stuck back in 2012.
Yeah.
They still got their minds stuck back. Oh, when he fought back, they forget. They very quickly forget about the Klitschko fight. Okay, and what has David Haye done to improve from the Klitschko fight? What technical modifications has he made to deal with a big man?
Yeah, I don't think any, to be honest. Yeah.
Let me ask those questions. So our first was with David. I've interviewed him before. First was with David. Said, okay, David. 2016, come back. What technical modifications have you done to deal with the fact that you couldn't get past the left jab of Vladimir Klitschko? How would you deal with a big man now like Wilder or potentially Ortiz? How would you deal with those big men?
Yeah, and David
How do you fight Joseph Parker?
Yeah, David Haye becomes very low output as well when he's fighting big fighters as well, which is a bit of a shame. He tends to just flick out his jab and kind of move and circle around the outside. He done it against Nikolai Valuev a lot as well. So I mean, the style he implements against the bigger sort of guys is a tough one. He's always been fighting strategic against the sort of smaller guys, John Ruiz, Monty Barrett.
Here's another thing, Anthony Crolla. Now, I love Crolla, right? I don't love him because he's a great fighter. I just love him because of his story.
Yeah.
Now, I tell you something. If getting cracked over the head makes me a world-class fighter, I don't know, because he was a crap fighter before he got cracked over the head. He gets cracked over the head, he gets better, he comes back, he becomes a world champion. He's in the ring with one of the best lightweights in the division and doing really well against him. Wait, this was the guy the other day who was going life and death with Gavin Reese. This is the same Anthony Crolla. Gets cracked over the head, comes back, brilliant fighter. I don't get it. Can you work that one out for me, please?
Yeah, I mean that's a bit of a weird one. I've spoken about that obviously with a few people, Gossip and a few other people and that sort of stuff. So I mean, in relation to that, I mean we can discuss that. We can. What I want to ask you a question first. Do you think Darlis Perez is world class?
Oh my God, he was probably the worst world champion.
Yeah.
So boxing.
Yeah. So okay, that's fine.
Wait. I don't know where that guy came from. He was. You know who was just as bad? The guy that Liam Smith fought to become world champion.
John
Black
Thompson.
guy came from the States.
John Thompson.
Oh my God, he was horrible.
But for me, he was winning that fight quite comfortably, wasn't he? He was winning that fight quite comfortably. I thought he was boxing Liam Smith, but maybe that's just me.
Terrible.
But
terrible.
Yeah, going back to
Perez was like, it was terrible. And I thought maybe he had an off night. Maybe he really had an off night, and Perez didn't get it together. He came back. And it was even more terrible. I thought, oh my God, just get rid of this guy.
Perez is fighting at 140 now, which I think is quite weird.
I don't care if he fights at 140, 130, 120, 110, or he fought and moved up and fought Golovkin. The guy's terrible.
He was a small, kind of fleshy 135 guy. I think it's quite ironic.
I don't care what weight he fights at.
Yeah,
I didn't care if he was fight night champion. He'd be terrible. He's awful.
Well, and Ismael Barroso obviously was a good fighter, probably top 20 in the division, but he gassed himself out. So
I heard a story about Ismael Barroso fight. I heard that I don't know how true this is. I heard the Barroso fight that he had smaller gloves when he fought Kevin Mitchell.
Yeah.
And then when he fought Crolla, he had bigger gloves.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how true that is. But I do know that Kevin Mitchell was coming at the end of his career, and I know that they were probably trying to get him off the contract.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, Mitchell, but then again, wouldn't have been financially viable if Mitchell won that fight and he faced Crolla for the WBA title. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what you think of that. But anyway, the thing is that Barroso gassed himself out, and Barroso obviously devastating against sort of Mitchell, who was, as you said, at the end of his career. But Crolla was, fresh, and he was a world champion defending in his hometown. Looks, strong. He took all the shots, and Barroso, slowed down significantly. So would he have won that fight if Barroso paced the fight well? It's hard to say. Obviously, the Jorge Linares fight, I thought he lost quite comfortably as well. But people are saying obviously he was in the fight. I thought it was about it was competitive in some way. But Linares won the fight clearly.
Joe Gallagher again. If you're going to win any world title fights, real big fights, you don't have Joe Gallagher in your corner.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Butler's went to Joe Gallagher now.
Oh my God!
But what's your thoughts on that?
Joe Gallagher said in the corner to Colin in the 12th round, "Don't let this guy shoe shine you." Okay, shoe shine is a term. It's an American term, which basically means don't let this guy throw punches on you and get away. Wait, This guy was doing it from round 1 to Crawler because that's the way Linares fights. He puts combination together, he's slick, he moves. That's how Linares fights. And if you walk in straight lines with your hands up in the air, trying to block punches, he's going to flurry you all night long. So that style that Crawler had against Linares was tailor-made for Linares. He gave the fight to Linares.
Yeah, I mean,
like, terrible. It's like game plan, none. Do the same thing, hands up, tuck up tight, hope Linares tires, and you can't hope a world-class fighter like Linares tires. You just can't.
yeah. The thing is as well. I mean, Linares is so skilled as well. I mean, you know what he's going to do.
A Sky Sports hype. Listen.
Joe Gallagher, bad tactics. Very.
Wait. It's Joe Gallagher. This is how Joe Gallagher, his career has been made. Now you can check it. Check the stats. Joe Gallagher's career has been made based on British title fights. That's it.
Yeah.
Joe Gallagher fighters. Joe Gallagher, majority of his wins have been 90-10 fights. 90% his fighters are going to win, 10% he's going to lose. Stick Joe Gallagher in 50-50 fights or 60-40 fights. How many times does Joe Gallagher's fighters win?
Yeah, they tend to lose at the top level. Yeah.
That's it. So again, Sky Sports, Joe Gallagher, trainer of the year. How? What did he do? Ahead of Peter Fury? How? Where? What universe? Tyson left this country or left the UK, went to Germany. Didn't have a chance in hell against a reigning champion, against Klitschko for the last 11 years. Tell me who Joe Gallagher had in his camp that had gone to Germany or gone to America and fought beat an 11-year reigning undisputed champion. Tell me. Who? Name me one. All the Gallagher fighters. And another thing to say, did Gallagher have... You've got to look up when Peter Fury took over from Tyson. Tyson Fury was having barroom brawls when Peter took him over. Because at that time he was getting dropped by...
Cunningham.
Before the Cunningham fight was getting dropped. The guy from Canada. Channel 5 dropped him. And then the other guy before that, Pychek. He's getting dropped by Pychek. Remember those days of Sky Sport on Channel 5? You tune to watch Tyson, you have a barroom brawl. He hits you, you hit him, and he chins you, you chin him, and then Tyson goes down, and Tyson gets over, and then Peter said, no. This has to stop. You have to learn how to box properly.
Yeah, I mean, before I head off, I'm going to have to head off after this topic. But as we were talking about lightweights, obviously, one lightweight fight has been made, a big fight for the division. Dejan Zlatikanin versus Mikey Garcia. On the card of Frampton Santa Cruz. What's your thoughts on those two fights?
Mikey Garcia. I like Mikey Garcia. I think he's a very good fighter. I wasn't impressed with his comeback fight, to be honest. Yes, he knocked the guy down about 5 times, but he was getting hit. He's getting hit with right hands, left, right, and center. So I have to look at Zlatican a bit more to give you a proper breakdown of that. And the other fight you were talking about?
Frampton Santa Cruz rematch, mate.
Wow, great fight. Great fight. What can Santa Cruz do differently? And what can Frampton do to maintain his position as unified champion? That's what it's about. So can Santa Cruz make any more adjustments, or is Santa Cruz just going to come in and keep throwing punches again? If he does, then Frampton will beat him again. So it's what can you tweak at the highest level? What can you make? What adjustments can you do? What can you make? You know, Santa Cruz, we heard at the time he had problems with his dad and all that stuff. Was that the best Santa Cruz we saw tonight? Because if that was the best Santa Cruz that fought Frampton, there's not much hope for Santa Cruz doing better, because that was the best. But if Santa Cruz was maybe 20 or 30% off, there's a chance that Santa Cruz could be even better in the rematch. So we don't know. We really don't know. We also don't know in terms of Frampton, whether Frampton coming into this fight, is he going to be 100%? Is he going to be better than he was the first fight? Would he be complacent? We just don't know. It's a great fight. So we have to see closer to the time of when the fight actually is, round fight time, to know if Frampton's training camp's done well, if Leo Santa Cruz's training camp's done well, if it's him and his father doing well together, if Frampton's fine with his family. All those are all tangible things we need to look at. Sparring partners, training, injuries, all those things we need to look at before that fight. But I'm telling you something, it's a great fight.
Yeah, mate, I'm really looking forward to that fight, to be honest. But,
Absolutely.
yeah, it'll be good. It'll be a good outfit for boxing as well. You know, the featherweight division is very, very good as well. Oscar Valdez, you know, who's the other? There's another prospect as well. I can't remember his name. American guy, young guy.
Gary Russell Jr.?
No, not Gary Russell, but he's a fine fighter as well.
Another one, let me just say, I'm putting out there again, Lee Selby, good fighter, but like our friend Errol Spence Jr., I'm saying it now so nobody can say I'm wise. After the event, both guys love to pull straight back from punches and move straight back with the chins in the air. Though both guys are left hook away from being chinned, I'm telling you. Because you can't keep pulling your head straight back from punches. Eventually, someone's going to get in the tip of your chin and knock you out. You can't do it. It's happened time and time and time again in boxing. And Lee Selby keeps doing it. And you saw him get dropped against the last guy, Hunter, he fought. That's because he keeps doing it. And now he's moving up in levels. And if Hunter had a bit more dedication and his head screwed on, he had all the ability to beat Selby that night.
Yeah. The guy's name was Jojo Diaz as well. The prospect, American prospect.
Okay.
But he's quite good. He's quite rated quite high by the WBC at featherweight. But yeah, interesting stuff. Thanks for having me on, Ingram, tonight.
Hey, I appreciate having you, man. It was great.
Yeah, no. Hopefully we could do it again soon.
Feel free. Tomorrow night I've got the live show tomorrow at 11 p.m. We will have Emily Pandalakis on from the US, Bo Bland from the US.
Yeah.
We have Angela Debden will be in tomorrow night. She's a fighter, boxer who's going to be doing big things. So we'll have I'll be on the show as well. We may have some other guests on the show as well.
Yeah, no, like whenever you're free and you don't have anyone on or whatever, I'm happy to jump on if you need me. Then I'm free and available. You know, I'm around. I'm always in the room. So
sounds fantastic. Sunday evenings are really good. This is probably the best time to do it, Sunday evening. And I'm going to be doing an evening shortly soon, women's only. So I'll have a whole night of women just basically in talking boxing. So it'd be quite nice to hear all women fighters in a room talking boxing, to hear their perspective.
Yeah, that would be interesting, mate. I'm looking forward to hear that. Looking forward to hearing your. You said you have a few interviews with a few fighters as well, Gospich and those sort of guys. Obviously, the journeyman type guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well, that would be interesting as well. I'm looking forward to seeing the stuff on your channel, man. A big shout out for having me on. Big shout out to Gossip who was in the room tonight as well. You know,
shout out to Gossip. He's the one that gave me the referral for you. Said you're a good man. So
classic Gossip, innit? Classic Gossip.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for those people who think I haven't talked about Jacob Gossip tonight, for those people who want to know Gossip, I will be doing an interview with him. Yes, I'm hearing that Haye has done him over, but it's not the first time. Check out my interview I did of Shane Singleton. Shane Singleton was meant to fight in a David Haye card and just got pulled off the card just like that. And all his family paid for tickets, hotel rooms. That was at the O2 Arena, and Singleton got pulled off. So check out that interview. The interview I did was Shane Singleton talking about David Haye. So it's of no surprise, to be honest. Absolutely no. Oh, so if people want to follow you, BD, how do they follow you?
I have a channel, obviously, Boxing Discussions. Is my channel on YouTube. You know, it's going all right. I do a live stream every sort of either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, so we could do a crossover if you'd like. I'm happy to do that.
I guess I'm the king of crossovers now. We've been for almost 3-4 years, as long as the channel's been open. So
yeah, so I'm live then. Twitter, my name JETIN87. You want to catch me on Twitter? That's when I go live and post when I'm going to post a video, that sort of stuff. That's probably my main social media outlet. I don't have a.
The other thing I'd say to you as well is if you can get onto our Facebook page, Bayloric TV Boxing Channel, like the page, and once you've liked it, post your videos on the page. I really appreciate that.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, I'll try and do that. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problems. Please do. And anything you put out there, I'll retweet it as well. So
Wick,
welcome to the boxing family.
yeah, wicked Ingram. Cheers, man. I'll catch you soon then, man. Tweet
You
you,
take
man.
care. All the best.
Nice one. Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye. That was the boxing discussions there. Check him out. He said on YouTube. Check him out on Twitter. And I'm sure he'll be back. And I'd definitely love to have him on the show again. The question about the boxing, the insider. Okay. I addressed this on Twitter, and I'll address it now. The insider, I'll go as much as the insider was he was a private investigator. That's as much as I will say. But due to circumstances beyond not my control, beyond his control, we've been unable to do that interview, and probably now for the best. So I don't see the interview happening for the foreseeable future. If it does happen, you guys and girls will be the first to know about the insider. It's a shame because I've got so much information I just can't talk about because it's not right for me to talk about this information, but it was some damning information. Yeah, some damning information. So my apologies again for the insider. I really want you guys to get that information, that news, but I will be talking, hopefully, fingers crossed, to Ray Beltran, who's currently, as we speak, sparring with Manny Pacquiao as he's preparing Manny Pacquiao's comeback fight against Jesse Vargas. So it's good to hear. I'll get to hear from Ray Beltran what's been going on from camp there. I'll be talking to Abel Sanchez very shortly, if not tonight. I'll be talking to Abel Sanchez about Andy Ruiz. I want you guys to go back on our chat, go back on the channel, check out Marcus Williams. I call him the UK Thomas Hearns. Please check him out. Yeah, it was absolutely a shame that I couldn't get the insider on. Absolute shame. Trust me, 25 unanswered telephone calls for myself. That's a lot. So that will tell you. It wasn't easy. I was trying. I don't know who David Haye's next opponent is, and frankly, I don't care, even if he was fighting King Kong. Yeah, while I'm here, thank you so much, Paul Moore. While I'm here, the last 5-10 minutes, there's quite a few in the room still, but we might as well stretch this out a little longer. Last 5-10 minutes, 10 minutes in the room. If there's any questions you want to ask, fire them off now. We're continuing to make changes and adjustments to the Bayloric TV. I love the live shows. It gives boxers the opportunity to come out and talk about their brand and what they're doing in the careers. They don't have to be superstar fighters. They just be fighters just trying to make a name, amateur or pro. I've got to take this opportunity to shout out to Chantel Cameron. Chantel was on the show last week. She is actually boxing Thursday night in Germany. Shout out to Chantel. Wish her all the very best. And Richie Gray, who'll be fighting again in December on another card, and definitely agree to shout out to him as well. It was a great show. Thank you very much. I've tried to get Tyrone Nurse. I've tweeted him. No response so far from Tyrone Nurse. But if we can get Tyrone Nurse, then fine. There are a few other guys that will be coming on the show, so look out for them. Carson Jones, Darnell Boone. Those are two guys that will be coming on the show. Marcus Williams. Check out them off. By the way, did any of you get to see? Yeah, I saw the thing which I looked at the interview with Chisora. Yeah, that was great. Fine. Check out Marcus Williams, please. I did some commentary for that as well. Please let me know what you thought of the commentary. It's something that I'm thinking of doing in the future, because it's always one thing to criticize other people, but I've always been told if you're going to criticize somebody, be prepared to put yourself in that position to do it yourself. So that is something that I definitely want to be doing. I'm still experimenting with a live show, because I think the live show works quite nicely because we get to get people from America. get people from the UK. We've had somebody from a guy, the cruiserweight. If you remember the cruiserweight, Johan, he's been in touch. So he's really revving himself up for his rematch. Marcus the Great Williams, check him out. Dominic Akinlade. Did you all watch the Dominic Akinlade fight against Adam Machad? Machad was the guy that Dave Allen was meant to fight and pulled out. Check it out. I thought it was for 2 rounds. I think it was a fantastic heavyweight fight. That was actually a step-up fight for Dominic Akinlade. He did batter him in the end. I was literally ringside, and I had the camera watching it all. So check it out. We got an exclusive for you there. We got Akinlade before, during, and after the fights. Check that out. How good could Chisora and White be if they took things more seriously? They seem happy, win or lose, says Leaf. Yeah, I guess so. They ain't paid well enough money. Dillian White versus Derek Chisora, that fight is on, I believe, December 10th. I think Dillian White's moved on, become a lot as a fighter, box fighter. Isaac Chamberlain, okay. Isaac Chamberlain, yeah, I think that definitely happened. We definitely get Isaac Chamberlain in the room. No problems with that. Spoke to Isaac the other day, actually. So, haha, good luck with Isaac. Would you join the Boxing Gossip podcast and have a debate with Irish Tom? Yeah, if you wanted it, why not? Get Julius Long on the show. Okay. If you've got contacts, send them over. It's hard, really hard trying to get interviews with people. Trying to get Lucio Riker back. He stood me up multiple times. Might be a brotherly thing. We'll see. Might stood me up too. What do you think about Tony Sims as a trainer? What do you mean to say? Look, I'll do the interviews. Isaac, I mean. Yeah, he stood you up a few times, has he? Having people stood you up is not a good thing. Get Jacob on. He'll reveal all, honestly. I'm sure he will. Well, I'll try. I'll probably bring him on the show. If I do, it'll be a last-minute thing. Do you think we should open the borders? Answer to that, if we stop going into other people's countries, bombing them, then, yeah, we should not be going into other people's countries, bombing them. That's what I think. If we go into other people's countries and bomb them, and then they come to our country for refuge, and if we didn't bomb them in the first place, then they wouldn't be in our country, or they would be in the UK. So I'm in Ireland anyway. So that's my answer to that in a nutshell. I would happily play 16.95 for this gossip interview. Do you know what's ended up happening with Baylor TV? It's going to be the channel of exposure. I don't really like being a channel of exposure. I do like putting truth out, but it seems dirty laundry, whether it be Deverne coming out with stuff, whether it be Asgard coming out about Klitschko. I mean, it seems like everyone wants to come and air their laundry out on Baylor TV. So, yeah. Nobody trusts politics. No, absolutely not. You know, Clinton versus Trump is like the devil and the devil. It's like, so are you voting the devil or the devil? And the other guy, Wally Dean, I think his name is. He's going to be coming on the show as well. We've got him looking up. Look what happened, poor Sweden, when they opened theirs up. Don't get political. Well, I become political the minute I have an opinion and somebody else disagrees with my opinion. I've been told, I've been accused of hating matchroom fighters. Accused of hating matchroom fighters. Sure, of course. But once I say I disagree with that opinion, I become political. So you always become political. Once you disagree with something, once you stand for something, then you become political. Stop dropping bombs, he says. All right. Wally Dean took a terrible loss to someone very bad. Well, we'll be talking to Wally Dean about that. Is Asgard decent boxing room? I haven't got a clue. I don't know. I don't know. Prince Patel, what happened to him? Prince Patel, from what I was told, has got a no TV contract because he's terrible. Right. That's it. Vote for Norman, buddy. It's the same as, of course, your votes don't count for nothing. Right. I'm coming to the end of this show now. Clint Trump is shit sandwich time. Smooth or crunchy? That's it, honest Bob. Romero, not boxing anymore. No, he's not. I believe he's retired. 14-year heavyweight Thomas Savage fighting Thomas Mazarek next. Savage will beat him up. Okay, well, I'll have a look at this guy, Tom Savage. I'll definitely have a look at him. Yeah, Romero has quit. Indeed. Savage TKO'd round 2. So I'll have a word and see. Tom Baker, that's another one I heard. Yeah, I heard he's left too. I don't know. I heard true. Damn, it's not good, is it? I like Barry Jones. That was my old stablemate. I liked Barry Jones when I was training. Me and him used to train side by side when I was up at the gym in Cardiff. You know what I need to do one day, and I've got to do it soon. I must take a trip to Cardiff, and I must visit my old gym in Cardiff and visit. My trainer was Steve Robinson's trainer as well, and Barry Jones's trainer. And I want to go back. I need to go back and see my trainer. It's been a long time. Do it for the people, Ingram. Quite possible Price will fight, and I will go and visit my friends in up in Galway. The Olympic boxing gym has got the Sweeney brothers, Gary Sweeney and Michael Sweeney. Go back and have a chat with them, see how they're doing. Visit Cork, my good friend in Cork. What's his name? Spike O'Sullivan. Go and visit Spike in Cork, see how he's doing. I'll definitely do that as well. Good to see that you're giving this one another go after the powers that be cut off your audio. Haha. Hope you're good, Ingram. I'm better than I was. That nasty flu, man. Days ago, I was laying in my bed and my back was hurting. It was so much pain. So much pain. Yep. See, ultimately now, if I could really, if I was going to make while I'm making the adjustments to the channel, I'd like to have a female correspondent. I would like to have a UK correspondent. A UK correspondent, that UK correspondent would have to be consistent. I did see the Spike interview on IFL. He's just a joker. I would like to have a UK correspondent and a female correspondent. We've got Emily Pandalakis from America. I'd like to have a UK correspondent from the UK, just to come in on the show and just have their view on things. It'd be very nice to talk about women's boxing. So I'm still seeking for my female boxing correspondent. I definitely would love to know. Were you on IFL, Ingram? No, and there's no. It's unlikely that IFL are going to have me on their channel. So I don't think, no, it's not going to happen. Forget it. Shout out to Coogan and oh my God, Coogan and James. Shout out to them, by the way, doing a good job. I was mentioned on IFL by James earlier this year, but no, I wasn't on IFL. I have been on Box Nation. Ingram should fight Paddy off Emmerdale. Oh, you're so funny. A sumo match, Ingram versus Paddy off Emmerdale. Oh, you're so funny. I'm not that fat, by the way. The camera makes me look fat. I'm not fat. Right. I think I'm closing this show now. It's 10 to 1 in the morning, and I've way gone over time. Check out also 2 other guys I want you to check out on the channel. Check out Chesney Hawkins. Very interesting guy. Chesney Hawkins and Richie Gray, who I interviewed recently. And finally, check out Richard Williams. Richard Williams, former IBO middleweight champion. He fought Sergio Martinez twice. He was one of the best boxers in the middleweight division. Such a top fighter. Such a good fighter, Richard Williams. Badly managed, undervalued, and such a good fighter. I mean, in today's middleweights, let me think of today's middleweights with Richard Williams. He'd more than give Billy Joe Saunders a run for his money. I think he beats Christian Eubank Jr. Richard Williams was a class of his own. So check out Richard Williams' fights and check out Richard Williams. I really do feel that Price and Joshua will fight. I really do. I really do. But we'll see whether Eddie actually does that. Right, I'm going to get out of here. I've got some... You need to be more places, man. I do agree. But nobody's told me yet. Has anyone... I just want to know, did anyone get to listen to my commentary for the Marcus Williams fight? Okay, if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget, if you go up in the corner, right-hand corner of the subscribe button, click the button there, the bell, that gets you for notifications. Okay? Right. Don't forget to join me tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Our live show will be back. And we'll be talking boxing. I'm out of here. This has been Ingram Jones, Bayloric TV, and the David Haye illusion. Hopefully, the illusion is no more. And we won't take David Haye and what he says, but rather what he actually delivers. I'm out of here. Good night or good morning.